I'm doing well. Ridiculously cold, though.
It's really cold today.
So pretty fancy equipment you got set up here.
Actually, the camera is pretty old. It's a tablet. So put it on the camera. Because what I was doing, I was running two tripods. But then I put what I put on here.
We're using our event we're having an airport.
Yeah. Yes. Right. Oh wow. Oh well. The only reason why is because my mouse is wireless and I have my mouse connected to my USB. And oh no, I gotta actually. Hold on, hold on, hold on. No. I have a thing. I have a thing.
You watch that game? Oh, it's indoors. Wrong company. Thank God it's indoors.
I started out. Oh, you had seen it? This, I'll have it up for you.
How many people were in the crowd? Okay. Redo the bid. Well, also because I don't have a so stay
Right here. I just read it. It's in your email. I got it. 68%. Look, y'all don't want to see that part.
Started in 5 minutes. Start. We can all start to take our time in the next 2 minutes. We have to take the next 2 minutes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to start in about 2 minutes. If everybody can find a seat, please, we're about to begin in 2 minutes. Thank you.
Is this for dignitary? All right.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to start in about 1 minute. 1 minute. If everyone can find a seat, please, we appreciate it. About to start in about 1 minute. Thank you. Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Josh Cohn, and I'll be your moderator today. Thank you all for coming to our annual Village Town Hall for the Village of University Park. We have a media agenda today with some very important topics. At a high level, we will discuss things that the village has accomplished over the few years and some of the goals for the future. I'd like to mention 3 main pillars that I'm expecting all of us to uphold for this meeting today. And they are respect, honesty, and fairness. More specifically, please do not speak over one another, as we like everybody's thoughts and concerns to be heard today. And with that, I'd like to introduce Mayor Rudez, who will kick off this meeting with a few opening remarks.
We need prayer. You got no preacher?
Reverend, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Absolutely. Always good to have the presence of God in our town hall meetings, our spirit.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We bow our heads to a word of prayer. God, how we thank you. Thank you, oh God, for another day. Thank you for another chance. Thank you for another opportunity to come together once again. God, we pray that as we prepare to handle the business of the village, God, we pray that you would be in pray, oh God, that you would guide our thoughts. We pray, oh God, that you would guide our tongues. We pray, oh God, that you would have your way in this meeting so that when we leave here, God, we will have a clear understanding of the direction of the village. We pray, oh God, that you would continue to watch over each and every one of us as we leave this space and go about our daily lives. And ultimately, oh God, we pray that you would continue to keep this village in your hand, God, because we need you. We need you now like never before. And so, God, continue to have your way in our lives, both individually and collectively. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Let all God's people say amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our town hall meeting. Thank you all for coming. And before we begin, let me introduce our elected officials here today. Trustee Sandra Jenkins. Unfortunately, Trustee Franklin is not in attendance as of yet. Trustee Karen Lewis. Trustee Janelle McFadden. Trustee Theophilus Brooks. Trustee Shirley Bowden. Village Manager Elizabeth Scott. And our treasurer, Mr. Ellis, isn't here this morning with us. Before we start this community forum, I'd like to introduce Reggie Greenwood from South Suburban Economic Development Corporation. And he will update us all on the current progress and the breaking news regarding the third airport. Reggie?
Oh, wow. Well, thank you very much and good morning.
Good morning.
Did you notice it's really warm outside? I'm not sure what's happening to the weather. We're global warming when we need it. I'm really grateful to be able to have a few minutes to talk about another really major economic development opportunity here in the Chicago Southland. As we probably have noticed, I-57 over the last several years has become a boom town for new large-scale industrial development. Much of it centered here in University Park, like the big Amazon facility, the new Ryerson steel building that you may have noticed is up 1.2 million square feet, Carvana. But it's not just in University Park, it's happening all up and down I-57. So the idea about a South Suburban airport now, the economics driving it is a cargo-based airport. It would be an airport that would cement the recent development on I-57, really the whole East Will, South Cook County, be another leverage to drive even new development. I've seen estimates of, well, particular plans that a private sector developer has at the airport would be to build another 12 million square feet of industrial space, 12 million square feet next to a cargo airport. The cargo airport would be probably a 10 to 12,000 foot runway. It would, and there are no real interest to it. As a passenger airport, I don't know the economics of that. I do know there's economics behind a cargo-based airport because it would cement this whole thing that's happening in the Chicago Southland over the last several years. But I'm not quite sure, the politics of it. The state of Illinois is not aggressively pushing this yet, but our local state reps and state senators have gotten really involved recently because they have seen a conversation with this developer and they have begun to recognize that this airport could be built if the state were to aggressively begin to seek a private sector developer. The Representative Will Davis and Anthony DeLuca and Debbie Myers-Martin and Nick Smith they have a bill in the House that passed out of committee to require the state to seek a private sector partner. And in fact, that bill got a really nicely done article in the Tribune, which is a big deal for us, right? The Tribune kind of doesn't know we exist. This was a front page article. So I think that's a big deal to suggest that the world is starting to think about the airport, but again, not in the airport as a thing by itself, but part of this overall development project that's happening in our region. So, I added up, last 3 years in the whole Southland, over maybe up to $2 billion in new investment up and down I-57. The airport would make it much bigger if we could make it happen. So the state of the process, President or Mayor is coming to this meeting we're having at Governor State University, actually, for these local state representatives are going to talk about this bill that I think is going to come up in the House this week. So if that passes, then it goes to the Senate. So it's the most progress that's been happening on this for quite a while. So I look forward to this thing getting off the ground. It will have a big impact on the economy of the Southland, particularly University Park. And, you know, Mayor Rudez has been a big part of this, and he'll be at that meeting we're having Monday. So it's happening. It could be happening. I say I've been doing economic development around here for several years, and it's really great to see what's going on. So I'm here just to talk about it. Just you take questions. Anyone have any comments? I'd love to react to. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, what kind of cargo would you be talking about?
Thank you. Excellent observation. We're finding that more and more organizations need cargo. For manufacturers, pharmaceuticals, it's also parts needed for manufacturing and e-commerce. Right? Those three things are more and more is driving air cargo. So certainly Amazon is, but also a lot of manufacturing companies are requiring air cargo now. Yes, go ahead.
I just want to know the bill number that you talked about.
Oh my goodness. HB 2531.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
What was the bill
Oh,
number?
I'm sorry, the bill number that is in that Representative Davis put up is HB 2531, House Bill 2531. Yes,
No. You check and see people in the back who hear you, because there's a lot of static.
okay, I'll come over closer. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, my question is, you said cargo, so that means it's not just gonna be older things, no benefit for the University Park. What is the benefit for the
Well,
University?
it will drive new economic development, right? But having a cargo airport was necessary to take the next stage for new industrial development. Will a passenger airport come to it? I don't know that. I don't want to say that because now O'Hare gets mad. It's just what I'm saying. There will be drones there. Would you fly a drone now? The drones will be there before anything else.
Okay, so where would this be? Where is the airport gonna be located at?
It's 4,500 acres of land, about 10 minutes due south of here. The land's already been acquired by the state. It's in unincorporated. Bullfield. Thank you, Bullfield. Yes, ma'am.
This airport that you speak about, is this the same airport that was originally named Almac?
Well, it's the, yeah. But it's changed dramatically since then, right? So that was the original thing that was done. The state began acquiring land, good God, 20 years ago, right? So over the last however many years, they've been acquiring the land. So it's out there, but the nature of the airport is totally different now, as I'm saying. It's going to be called the Cargo South Suburban Airport.
What is your knowledge about Almac? Because if my memory serves me correctly, it was already bought, paid for, it was on its way, but then I think it was when, I forget the governor's name that was in office during that time. Quinn. When Quinn did not, in a timely manner, sign Almac, then looked like things, and then of course he didn't get reelected. Things never did, it just went stale. Can you please tell us what happened there, if you know, and how did you guys acquire this? How did this come about? I'd like to know your initial setup with this.
Absolutely. Since I'm only 35 years old, I don't really know you know, I don't really know the specifics of the history of this. I mean, I know of it, of course. I just know when I got involved, what I began to do, I began to see the economics of it was around cargo. You know, the idea of a passenger airport, it's so complicated between us and O'Hare politics that I don't understand it. we're just trying to show that there are real private sector people out there willing to enter into what's called, P3, private-public partnership, to collaborate with the state to build the area.
I guess what I'm trying to understand is, it was already set to go. And then it just hovered like a drone. So how did you guys or whoever pick it up and now you want to go with it?
Well, the state's been buying the land ever since, right? So it's the asset of the state of Illinois. They own the land there. And so in my job as economic development person, as I work on all these industrial projects that I've been talking about, I begin to see that a cargo airport makes sense. So we got into conversation. I say we had primarily been Rick Bryant from Congresswoman Robin Kelly's office, several mayors, including our mayor. We started working, and we made progress. Any other? Am I taking too long?
No. I think one of them.
How is this gonna affect our infrastructure with having this airport, when we've got a lot of industrial park, businesses now? What's gonna be impact on our environment here?
So
Because Gary, I understand you get in an airport too. So we
don't
just,
focus on this.
so we've got all this air traffic going. And yeah, we look at money, but I look at it for my health in the long run, the air, the environment will be.
Oh, so this will be the most advanced.
And the noise level. And I understand about the public, but it's gonna be a lot to consider. Just not economic development, and it's gonna expense.
So the
How would
option,
it personally affect, Health University Park?
well, the airport will have a direct access off of I-57. So there will be no truck traffic coming anywhere from the airport other than I-57. In fact, the airport will not increase truck traffic. The truck traffic that now is coming from Rockford and Chicago out here. So by having the airport, it will be the world's first environmentally sound airport. It will decrease the amount of truck traffic because these airport will be closer to the end user. And there will be no truck traffic coming here, where it goes straight off the airport, straight to I-57, down in the.
Yeah, but it'd be airplane traffic now.
There will be airplane, but we're airplane traffic everywhere. In my opinion, you will find that the amount of flying back over there will not affect us much.
I don't understand that, because if you're moving cargo, trucks don't fly and drop from the sky. The trucks have to come through this area. So please expound on that.
Well, the trucks that get to all these distribution centers, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Well, are coming by truck from other air cargo. It's not going to increase air cargo because we're all buying stuff from, we need the yield more air cargo traffic is coming anyway. It will just be more efficient and more economically viable for our local.
I'm still trying to understand what the benefits of universities are, revenue, marks, anything else that we're gonna gain from this. What are we gonna gain from this besides cargo?
By having an air cargo airport in the area, it will yield significantly more industrial development than I-57. Well, I mean, again, 5 years ago, people would have said, there is no industrial development here. Why do you need air cargo? Now it is here. So what will happen, you will see numerous more projects occur.
So you all just started this process. You all started this, or you started being private?
Well, there's been people before me, but the people I've been involved in have been the air cargo. This is what's happened here in the last several years, that we've begun to understand the air cargo business. It's become obvious that a new air cargo, environmentally sound air cargo, would be valuable.
So this is going to affect all the villages and communities surrounding
Oh,
the
absolutely.
airport. So we're gonna be like in competition in terms of getting finance money into our coffers and things like that.
Oh, this will drive more, the economic impact of this will be huge in the upside. I mean, the interest from around the world will be open by this. I mean, there'll be
I
people.
wanna see how the money is gonna come to University Park, to the other little communities surrounding. how are how are we gonna get money? We need finances, not just in
Oh, yeah.
industrial development.
The most direct idea is that all the land on the University Park, industrial park, more people will go there because they'll be closer to the air cargo down there. And what happens in the whole I-57, but it's not, but also jobs for people who live in University Park. You'll find more and more development occurring, and there'll be more jobs available for all of us in the entire region.
But they have to be qualified.
Excuse me, we got one question back here.
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. Yes,
Hi everyone, my name is Mary Carter. Okay, hi everyone, my name is Maddie Carter. Actually a developer with housing, and also my major is master's in economic development. Now, your question, I'll ask you because you know, actually both of you guys have the same kind of temperature when it comes to this. FAA, FCC, you deal with federal regulations, airports. If you see the transformation of City of Chicago when it came to O'Hare and Midway, that's passenger. We're talking about cargo. There is no location really close by. If he's bringing cargo here, that's distribution. That's part of all that growth in that area. As a modular business, that would work for my company. That will allow me to hire teams throughout this week to bring more business to Black businesses. You know, we need that cargo. I didn't even know of this. I'm coming as just to promote my business as modular to bring steel manufacturing to your neighborhood. But and also, I've also advertised this to the university of the state to bring programs for more people to learn about modular concept. But bringing a cargo to this community, he is not even expressing how this will win over for you guys as a rural area that has not been placed on the map like Chicago. You know what I mean? You will be known, Rockford, all these areas will be the conversation because everybody will make this a main location. I don't know, I have not heard this my first time hearing about this, but you already.
wait a minute, someone record her. Can you record that?
My question is to you.
You live here?
No, I'm
Okay.
Okay.
Do you see this area where we live at?
My mom stayed right here.
No, I'm just asking this because we don't have a grocery store.
And that's.
We don't have anything here.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Deserts, that's very important to the community more than a lot of agriculture. There is a number one priority, housing, banking system, all of that is needed in every area. But I'm pretty sure this will enhance so much traffic. It can force things into your community that's needed because of the amount of traffic that will come through.
we have enough traffic. We don't need grocery stores.
One person, excuse me, one person at a time. Do you have a question for us? That's it. Thank you, ma'am. Does anybody have a question for this gentleman up here?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I need a thing. I'm not a host. I'm here.
Oh, wow. Nice to meet you.
And so I wanted to just kind of give a perspective for the community. As a former council for the Chicago South End Chamber, I would say the University Park and the South suburban areas have the labor force that all of the North Side needs. So you are sitting in the catbird seat because at the end of the day, you have the labor force to do whatever the developers may want to do. Don't ever lose sight of that. That has been true for more than 20 years. I'm dating myself, but this is an important situation. The state has been involved in the last several years in doing eminent domain and acquiring properties for an airport in Peatone. But one of the challenges, I think you would agree, that the major carriers had was that the communities wanted passenger flights. This is a cargo area. You were sitting in one of the most rich communities in the United States. There is no transportation of products that can go anywhere but through University Park and the Southland area. And so your commitment and your robust protests will be important in assuring that you get not just words, but deeds that will translate to businesses, retail, the kinds of things that people need when they step up. You need retail, grocery stores, things like that. The Commerce Commission, we'll talk about that later. The Commerce Commission understands where you are and what you need. And so you have Congressman Kelly, which you mentioned, who has been involved with this, I know, for at least 20 years, as well as Pete Buttigieg, who is a neighbor in Indiana, and I told the mayor, you need to get him here, as well as Durbin and Tammy Duckworth to come along with the Black Caucus and see what University Park has to offer. You were a hometown award recipient. J.B. Pritzker understands that. You need to hold people's feet to the fire. I'm sorry, I'm not, I'm very much involved with social justice and with racial justice. I also, the mayor knows this, serve as an officer for a large bar association. We have a huge lobbying effort, so any legislation that comes forward, we can support if we know what it is. So I offer that opportunity to you. Thank you. I'm sorry.
So I'll say one more thing, and I'll kind of comment on that. Is it is unfair that so much investment in that O'Hare and that Midway and not here. It's not right. And one of the things we have to do, we have to find the economic justification to recognize that this type of investment that will drive all the other economic things that we need, grocery stores, keep jobs, people, connection with GSU. It's not fair that it's not here. Time changes.
It's not fair that we don't have a grocery store.
Excuse me, ma'am, excuse me.
And you want to bring an
Excuse me,
airport.
ma'am,
I
ma'am,
have a problem with that.
Excuse
Sir,
me.
you know,
ma'am,
I'm
ma'am.
talking to the
But
gentleman.
one
Have
of
a
our
problem
rules,
with
one
that.
of our rules is respect. and
Yeah,
not
I'm
speaking over-
respecting that.
You speaking over him.
Okay, sir, please.
You're speaking over him. Are you not? Are you not speaking over him?
Sir, I'm
You can raise
interested
your-
in what he's saying.
I understand that. but you can raise your hand.
I did that.
Not pass the mic.
I don't even mind. I got big enough mouth.
I understand that. Please, let him finish.
Okay,
Raise your hand.
sir, please go ahead.
So I mean, as an economic development person, the opportunity to drive related development is what I've been working on for several years. Is manufacturing jobs and jobs for e-commerce, those jobs that people then get a wage that they can afford spending money is the driver toward other types of investment. So if we drive this economy, literally having $2 billion of investment in our region, who would have thought that 5 years ago? I mean, I say 2 billion, it is 2 billion. That's what's changing the opportunities in the whole South.
Thank you. And we have another question here. Thank you for raising your hand. Thank you for being a model for how we want to model.
Question that I think the resident up there was trying to ask us when it comes to revenue. I understand about all the economic development that bring the resources, but she's wanting to know is revenue wise, would the surrounding communities get a part of the revenue that the cargo airport brings in?
That's a great observation, and I believe that Mayor Joe will help make that happen.
Oh, my
Because there will be a association of, the next stage in that P3 partnership is to create what you're talking about, is how to organize. Because it's sitting in the middle of Will County. So how will Crete, I mean, there's something called the Ring of Five, right? Crete, University Park, Beecher, Peatone are all gonna have to get together and figure out how to do what you said. That's not been figured out.
And then second question is, what was the P3 again? And then, do you know the stands from Durban, from all of those others that you just stated about the cargo airport?
It's called, P3 is public-private partnership.
Okay.
And that's the way a lot of big infrastructure projects around the country are built now, that you have a public does a certain amount and the private sector does a certain amount and put it together in a partnership. The politics of it is beyond, I do not understand why they're not behind this. They make.
Are they not behind it, or you just don't know their point?
You know, I shouldn't, I'm not a political person, or I guess, you know, so I don't understand it. I'm just trying to make the case with our local representatives that the governor needs to pay attention to this, and we'll see what happens. And the full of it is beyond my.
Are there any other questions for the gentleman?
So I just like to thank you so much for your, this is a big opportunity for us, and I really appreciate the chance to talk, and it was great to interact with you.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, someone
I
said,
guess I'll
you send out
look
an
at
email to everybody.
Yes.
I'll send you the links.
And you want to tell them about the press conference on Monday. And the big thing about the third airport, it will give us the opportunity to reduce the property tax burden on all of our residents. Down the line, we see it can almost potentially be very limited property taxes on our residents. So it's a great benefit in the region, but it has to start somewhere. And I will comment that I was a member of the ALNET group when it started as with Jesse Jackson saying, I'm probably one of the only South suburban mayors that are still around besides Rick Rainbow, Commissioner Park, that understands the concept and how the forward progress is taking place. And for the first time in history, we've gained bipartisan support in Springfield. So that means Republicans and Democrats are working together for the overall progress of the people of the region, not just University Park, but the region as a whole. So thank you, Reggie Greenwood, so much for your input on the third airport. And now I'd like to bring up our village manager, Elizabeth Scott.
Good morning, everyone. Is everyone able to hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're good.
Good morning, everyone. As most of you know by now, I've had the opportunity of meeting many of you. I have been the new village manager for the past 7 months. It has been an honor to serve the community as a whole. My position, the position of village manager on paper, it says I run the day-to-day operations, advice and consent of the board, which is basically responding to the community, right? You elect these elected officials that sit up here, they are to be advocating on your behalf. So essentially I work and I respond to each one of the residents. My position is unique in itself because it requires navigating through oftentimes challenging environments to achieve positive outcomes for the residents. You also have the task of coming into and assessing the community and determining the ways to create a more vibrant neighborhood. And that's done through many different venues, as of infrastructure, grants, some types of economic development, providing staff with support so that they can achieve their goals, giving them direction, and oftentimes jumping in to resolve issues as they confront you and putting out fires. I have to find effective solutions to navigate and oftentimes troubling financial times and trying to find ways to bridge lack of resources and financial means. With that being said, I have been involved in every aspect of each department while navigating the staff to creatively solving problems. Whether it's submitting grants on behalf of the village, such as the STP right here, we recently submitted this grant to finish the walkway, which was partially completed. When I came on board, that was one of the things that I heard from some of the residents, were complaints about the walkway and some people who had walkers that weren't able to make it through. So that was submitted. I submitted that on behalf of the village. Another thing is also the lead pipe replacement. That was submitted a couple weeks ago. I submitted that with the assistance of Randall from Antero. And we were in jeopardy of losing the grant for Pine Lake because they were trying to say that this was not a cohort 4 community, which means a community that does not have necessarily all the resources to be able to fund it on their own. So we were awarded on March 6th to have the docks for Pine Lake replaced in the amount of roughly $41,000 and some change. Bringing the village up to date with our GATA requirements, which is the Government Accountability and Transparency Portal, which we have to fill out financials. I have to answer internal control questions. So now that is current from 2018 to date. I've been doing a lot of cleaning up of the back end reporting for things such as motor fuel tax, which we have discussed with the board from previous board meetings, as of most recently, I believe this year. So that covered the past 4 years. Also, one of my jobs is to go into communities and find things that I know that the residents, when I hear their complaints, and try to come up with solutions. One of those was creating a program to benefit residents that are either coming out and suffering from the pandemic as it relates to the water, or people who are just struggling in general. LAHEAP has, a program for water, but the reality is the threshold to meet that requirement to qualify is so low. And many people, although they're still struggling financially, they didn't qualify. So we created a program and made it very easy for residents. You just had to be a resident of University Park and apply, and it was a very successful program. Another thing was assisting seniors, veterans, and disabled with the snow removal program, which we have helped a lot of residents. We had a lot of positive feedback from that. I also worked with Public Works when I came in. We are now hiring people that have CDLs. It is a requirement. So far, I have upped the manpower by 50%. I believe, Matt, you can tell me, I think we have about how many workers now, including yourself, 15. We had approximately 15. 15, ma'am. Public Works, also, they needed equipment. So there was a pilot program through Cook County, which we received free and clear. It was a snowplow, a Volvo snowplow, which is actually better than some of the equipment that we currently have. Also working with Antero to put out the RFP for tree removals. We successfully removed approximately, I think it was over 150 trees. I brought on the Public Works Director, who effectively saved us thousands of dollars by being able to cut the trees down himself with the assistance of the Public Works employees. We also put out an RFP for Abbott and Amherst and did the resurfacing of that, which was something that was needed. The residents complained about a lot of the streets. Ms. Ernestine will go into some of the other economic development things. It takes a team when you do this work. There's no I in team. So we've been working together with various departments, whether it's Public Works, economic development, different departments in order to facilitate these things. Overweight trucks, there's different things that we need to do to bring in revenue. That's another thing that we are tasked with.
Excuse me, miss, I'm sorry. Can we just let the board finish and let everybody who's speaking finish before we run out? She's got,
I have to stop the live. What about the levy? What about the budget?
This is not how we're running the meeting. We only have this space for a limited amount of time.
We cannot have a limit. We own this place.
But we only have this space for a limited amount of time. People have other things to do. I'm sorry.
But here's what I can't do. I can't tolerate the lie. I can't tolerate it. I'm not going to allow her to sit here and lie. Not gonna do it.
So continuing on, we have completed audits for the past 5 years, 16, 2017, 2018, 2019, and we are going to be completing 2020 very soon. One of the other things that I was saying that we have to deal with is finding ways to bridge the gap where there is a lack of income and revenue coming in, and you want to do so without doing it on the backs of the residents. One of the ways that we're going to be increasing revenue and is through the GMT program. There was a legislation that was passed in 2019. It has never been implemented in the village, and it basically stands for Ground Emergency Medical Transportation Program. Chief Chelios will be coming up later to speak on that. That is proposed to bring in $800,000 in increased revenue for the village at no cost to the residents. Another one is overweight trucks. We have the largest, if not one of the largest, I think it's first or second, in the state for TIF and for the industrial corridor, the largest. So with saying that, we have a large number of trucks that come through our community. That is an opportunity for us to garner revenue. I do know other towns that I've worked in and also that I have spoken with other village managers that have increased their budget of revenue by $500,000 to $2 million yearly. So that's something that we are working on now. Another thing that I want to touch on is the EV readiness. EV readiness, there's a lot of things that go on when you talk about restorative justice and racial inequities. A lot of times, Black and brown communities miss out on opportunities. We're either always late getting in the door, or we don't know it all until it's over with. We were one of 16 communities in the entire state. Those communities include the city of Chicago, Skokie, Glencoe. We're one of only 2 in the south suburbs, and that is University Park and Richmond Park, that are part of a cohort. And that is to prepare this community to give advice by consulting on ways to generate revenue as it relates to electric vehicles, solar, as well as other generators of renewable energy. We have a large trucking corridor. Once again, trucks are going electric. They've already started this. They have already tested trucks that are going from one end to the country to another. That is a huge potential for us, and I do not want this community to miss out on that opportunity, and we want to be at the forefront. You also notice that a lot of these communities that are participating in doing this currently are communities that are up north. So this is a unique opportunity for us. Within the next 10 years, they're anticipating over 1 million vehicles will be on the road in the state of Illinois. So that can be a great driving motivator, and it'll work in conjunction with the airport. Another thing I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to say this, that has the potential, the things that I just mentioned, is over $1.3 million. And this is at a conservative estimate in bringing in revenue. So when you talk about drivers and bringing in revenue and not off the backs of the residents by ticketing, over policing, things of that nature, these are ways that we can do it. And these are things that have never been brought to this community. I want to say thank you to Reggie Greenwood. He has a lot of titles, but he was here today speaking as the Director of Supply Chain Innovation Center for GSU. We are working with GSU, partnering to do different things. I think it's important to use the gems that we have in the community to take advantage of that. Governor State University is very interested in the EV program that we're a part of. I've been going downtown with the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus and speaking with the city of Chicago, Skokie, these other towns. to mimic some of the things that are going on in California. Right now, currently, when you build homes and different infrastructure, you have to do it with the mind of electric vehicles, solar paneling and things like that. So I want us to be on board with that. With that being said, we're doing a little moving around of the agenda. We have some department heads here. I wanted to also take the time to thank the staff that took the time out of their weekend to come here. If all the staff could please stand up that work for the village at this time, I would like for you to be acknowledged. Matt, Neva, if there's anyone else I did mention, please forgive me, but it takes a team. So we're gonna move forward. Reggie took questions because of the fact that he had to go, he had another engagement. But I wanted to bring up, forgive me because I was remiss in mentioning some of the staff that would be here. But I would like Chief Chelios, if he can now, and after him, Police Chief Mitchell, just to come up and talk about some of the public safety initiatives, as well as this great opportunity for the village for a big generator revenue.
Two things before we move on. First thing, please silence your cell phones. And second thing is, if you have questions and you want them to be answered at the end of all of the speakers, Rosemaria has cards here and we'll be collecting them. So please, if you have any questions, grab a card right now and we'll collect them here.
As the manager said, there may be a few adjustments because of time constraints. We want to go with the Eric from the Ontario group talking about our village amenities. He will be working in partnership with Mrs. Childress, so we can dim the lights. Eric, we can go to this right away. After Eric, we'll bring in Chief Dale Mitchell because public safety is a big concern of everyone else. Then we'll be going to water right after that. So just a few things just happen. We have to adapt and adjust as we move forward. So let's hit those lights, please. Let's talk about our village amenities. Everyone is concerned about it.
Maybe I can.
Yeah. Top, let's go.
Cut it off. Oh, I see.
They're gonna make you in charge of technology.
Yeah, other working? Yeah. Thank you all for coming on a Saturday. It's a beautiful day outside.
It's cold.
Florida. So this is just a little presentation of the various activities. I know some of this stuff takes time to migrate forward. There are a number of things that had seen a lot of disinvestment when we came into the village, I think in 2019. With the Aquatic Center, Regal Farm, Pine Lake Park, a lot of these things had seen a lot of attention. So what we've been trying to do as we work with the village and with the staff is pursue some funding for various projects. As we all know, and probably have heard, there's a lot of money that's come out, federal funding, and University Park is ideally positioned because of some of these economic development activities. That makes it attractive to the federal government and the state to continue to promote other things within the community. And we all know that the community still needs a lot. You have a pretty healthy population without a lot of retail and commercial. So we've been kind of working on all kinds of things, but picking off some of the things that we've heard through some of the workshops that we've had over the course of the last 3 or 4 years from the community. A lot of focus on parks, so a lot of focus on streets. So we've resurfaced Abbott and Amherst, and we continue to pursue funding for other streets. Drolley Road is a personal pet peeve of mine. That road needs a lot of attention if you've ever driven over there. The fire station being right there is definitely problematic to have a road that doesn't work. Next. We've done a TOD plan. So the village worked with CMAP, the Regional Planning Commission, with Reggie's group actually, and has a transit-oriented development plan for the metro station, which they're actively starting to market. We also, alongside of that, have been able to get $2.5 million to do the initial planning and design for redoing the entire metro station, that it becomes a community center and hub rather than just sort of a couple of big parking lots. The intention there is to make it an attractive resource for the community that interconnects with area businesses and also with the transit-oriented development, so that'll encourage more development. Thanks. Oh.
That's all right, yeah.
So, and then this project, we're gonna have a kickoff, public kickoff on the 24th, correct? So we'll be announcing more about that then. So if you can attend, it's at 10 o'clock.
Is it March?
March 24th, 10 a.m.
On site at the metro station, correct? So the intention there is to fix the parking lot, to beautify it, to address some stormwater issues that have been there and caused lots of problems, just to make it more functional for everybody. And then another part of that, which gets to the need for grocery stores and other things, is that if you've got all these people driving in, it makes it a much easier argument when you're going to grocers and when you're going to restaurants, and you're going to those things, to say, hey, it's not just nearly 8,000 residents, it's also all of this other activity that's coming in through the community, and that helps to justify the investment that the private sector needs to make in a grocery store, in other things. And I think Ms. E will be talking a little bit about some of that activity. It's already happening, it's moving forward. It's pretty exciting stuff. Central Steel and Wire, this was a huge win for the village. It's going to bring a lot of revenue and a lot of jobs, several hundred jobs. I think they're getting close to being open. So that's almost complete. This is. So some of these economic development activities are going to enable the village to afford some of these other things that are sorely needed, including a community center. As we all know, this is not an ideal village hall. There's not enough recreational amenities or workout facilities for the community. With 8,000 people.
It's 7,000, sir.
It's nearly 8,000.
No, it's not.
Well, I'm just going to go off the census.
I work for you.
There's certainly enough demand, enough residents, enough interest to have some community center facilities that can serve multiple purposes. So this is a concept, a conceptual design for something that might move forward here in the near future. The village is working hard to make this a reality. And you want to say something? The mayor's going to say.
So when you see the community center, that's just the finished project. But inside the proposed community center, you'll have 3 community rooms, which are 5,000 square feet per room, a total of 15,000 square feet. The community center will have opportunities for rooms when residents want to have meetings, repasses, birthday parties, and things of that nature. It's also going to have proposed 8 basketball courts, walking track, fitness center, wellness center, and a variety of the things that we all go to other communities to utilize. And we're not taking questions right now.
What are you talking about? What is it?
So this is a community center that's going to be
We know
proposed.
nothing about it.
Mrs. Morgan, please not disrupt us. Yeah, please. Can we let the mayor finish?
We know nothing about what he's showing us.
So we're introducing this now to the community because we need the community's input. We realize that a lot of our seniors go to St. James Wellness Center. They go to other different Matheson Rec Center and a variety of other things to do their line dancing, aqua aerobics, and things of that nature. We want to be able to take the investment of the taxpayers' dollars and reinvest back into the community so we can have things going on within inside of our community. These centers bring multitudes of revenue. We talk about indoor and outdoor soccer fields, auditoriums, because everybody does not want to play football, baseball, and basketball. There are opportunities for modern dance, STEM programs, electronics, and everything of that nature. And Ms. Childers will just speak to this real quick. She does have to go, and the need and the desire.
She just goes to.
Good morning. Just wanted to let you all know the importance of having a community center. Currently, we have 4 basketball teams, and unfortunately, because we do not have our own house, all of our teams are spread. Currently, we have 1 team that is at Pre-Bonita today. We don't have our own key. So the accessibility to get in these facilities. We cannot keep the stuff there, meaning we have to use our own sport clock, we have to bring our own supplies, so that means we have to transport. The smaller kids, the first through second grade, have to go to Richmond Park or Park Forest because the basketball nets do not come down. If you do not have children, but you have to invest into the community, it gives all of these young people an opportunity, even if they do not play sports, somewhere to go. Every other community has somewhere for those children to go but us. It is so important for you all to look beyond anything personal and invest into our children. Now, unfortunately, I have to apologize, but I do have to get to the gym because I have a certain time the gentleman is standing at the door. Excuse me, Ms. Morgan, to open the door to allow us to play today. So wish us luck because it's playoff time and I want to see championships come on back to University Park. Thank you.
So again, there's a lot of federal funding there, and we're starting to make asks for some of these things. I'll talk a little bit about funding, but we just did put out $20 million of various funding requests for community-oriented activities and improvements. Regal Farm being one of those, and we actually have funding for this. I think we're close to $1 million at this point in funding from various sources, DCEO from the state, a couple of different pots of money. And that RFP is about to go out or did go out already?
It didn't go out.
It's getting close to going out. We're crafting it right now. So that's a request for proposals for actual construction to rehabilitate Regal Farm and get it back into working order. We actually have the funding to do that now. So that's an exciting thing. We're very enthusiastic about that. I think, you know, a lot of work from the elected officials, from the mayor, from Ms. Eve, from Ms. Scott to get that over the hurdle, because when we walked in the door, the village had been unable to apply for grants because of some past grant practices under prior to this. So we had to work through a lot of legal issues and work with the state. I'm talking right now, and I appreciate your raising the hand. If I could finish the presentation, I'd be happy to take questions. So this is going to be an exciting thing that will happen this year. In fact, it will happen this spring. We'll break ground on it this spring. Next. Craig Park has been approved, and we're going to continue to invest in parks in the village. There's a lot of funding that's available for these kinds of things, and we pursue every avenue along these lines. We're not done with Pine Lake Park that was mentioned earlier by the village manager. We continue to pursue funding to improve that park. We think that's a great amenity. One thing we did do was get the restocking program, get the village back in line with restocking the pond. So I think twice a year, the state comes and looks and does a survey on the fish and then stocks whatever they think needs to be stocked. To do that, you have to allow for free fishing at Pine Lake Park. It has to be a free thing, so we can't charge for fishing access, which is great for the community. This is a picture of fish stocking. That was last, yeah, I think it was last fall and last spring. They've been out there a couple of times now. I think what they stocked mainly was catfish. They felt like the bass and the bluegill and some of the other fish were in good shape. So I mean, go out. It should be ready for fishing in a couple of weeks here, if it ever warms up. But that's a personal project for me. I love that little park. I love fishing. I love those kinds of places. And I think it has a lot of potential to be a great resource. It's a little bit hidden. We like to get better signage at the front, let people know about it more. Stager Road, we applied for funding and were awarded funding. So feasibility planning on that to see about extending it. That has been something that we've heard people want to extend it through the field, all the way through the community, to improving it so it's more attractive. As you know, Richmond Park is on the north, and then we've got all this industrial activity on the south. We want to limit the industrial impact to the village. So we want to try to see if we can make Stager Road more functional for them, so they're not coming in and through the village and disrupting traffic patterns. So we're working on that. We just applied for another grant to Cook County, because it's actually a Cook County road. Next slide. Town Center, we're continually working on improving this. and exploring, ways of doing that. I think this year we've done the roof. We've leased up more of the spaces. We've done the parking lot. So there's been a lot of investment into this facility. We're hopeful that we can get the community center up and running so that some of these kinds of spaces could be leased up and generating revenue for the community as well. Next. And as I said, we've applied in the last 2 weeks alone. We have submitted over $20 million in grant applications to various sources. It's grant season right now. There will be another push later in the year. Usually it's spring and then you get a big push in the fall. Summer kind of dies down. There's a lot of federal money going on. And the mayor, the manager, Ms. E, others have really tasked us with staying on top of that. In fact, Randall Stevens, who you may have met in the village, she's a colleague of mine. We've changed her whole role, kind of largely driven by University Park and their aggressive you've been pursuing funding. We've changed her role and title to be grants administrator. She loves doing that stuff. And we said, all right, let's just do that. So she is staying on top of all kinds of funding. And I will tell you, this is not to go public, but you guys are probably the first ones that we look to when we look for funding. So she'll align that pretty quickly with University Park needs before we start looking at some of the other clients that we have. So these are some examples of things that we've applied for funding on. We did apply to work on the water service line. We applied to the senators and congressional reps to get funding directly for that. We're somewhat optimistic that may happen, given how important that is. Regal Farm, Pine Lake Park, the Aquatic Center, we applied for money to get that up and running and going again. Abbott, Amherst, Raleigh, Sager, we talked about some of these things. There's a lot. We did a capital improvement plan and we're just chipping away at that. Every time there's funding that's available and that's on there, it's prioritized based on public meetings, so we know kind of what the feedback is. We're being very, very aggressive in trying to get funding for that. And we're optimistic and we're seeing a lot of success. As we'll see in Regal Farm. You'll be excited, I think, this summer to be able to do something at Regal Farming.
Awesome. Yes, great.
And we love feedback, especially when you raise your hand.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What is the likelihood of these things materializing?
Very good, because they're already materializing. Regal Farm, we have the money for. Pine Lake Park, we have money for. Stager Road, we have money to do things. I'm very optimistic about Drawley Road, although it's not the most exciting from a residential standpoint. It's really important to those businesses and to the safety of the community because the firehouse is over there. I think we'll get more money for Pine Lake Park. We've already got money for this facility. We've made a number of improvements on this. So I'm very optimistic that we're going to have success.
Can I just do a correction?
I don't know that anything that I said requires correcting. I think it's all accurate.
There was one person that was instrumental in bringing in the funds to Regal Farm, and that was Trustee Sonia Jenkins, which she got from.
I think we pursued that with Ms. D and Ms. Scott.
She received it from Senator Patrick, and also
What's your question?
We have a question back here. I'd like to answer that question. Yes.
Question, sir? Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Shaw.
Yes.
$645,000 from.
Hello? Yeah. This man, I have a question. So if you're going to restart Pine Lake with the fish, are the animals coming back to Regal Farm?
That's going to be a discussion that we need to figure out how the village wants to manage Regal Farm. If that's something that they're interested in, I think that the facilities are there and we can work toward that. Me personally, I'm a big advocate for those things. I like them, but you do have to have the staff to maintain, feed the animals every day, all that kind of stuff.
We did here.
We have another.
So may I make the correction, Mr. Eric? I want to give honor where honor is due. Senator Joyce and Madam Executive Jennifer Bertino Tarrant. They acquired the 600 and gave the $625,000 to Regal Farm. And it was a non-matching grant that they did when they came out here and visited the farm, and I assisted with that. And
That's
one
great.
of our neighbors, Mrs. Mary Trust, needs to be acknowledged as well.
That's wonderful. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to make note that one of the things that has been.
Can't hear.
I just want to make note that one of the things that has been.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I have a huge voice, so I apologize. One of the things that I wanted to acknowledge is the Board of Trustees and Mayor in looking at working with the Nature Conservancy of Lake Geneva. I have a relationship with them. They are exceedingly interested in working with University Park. They have a program called Conservancy at Home, where they can work for free with individual residents on their yards, etc. And they can help the village manager and the Board of Trustees get grants for the conservancy that could be the lake and other areas as they work with Ontario.
Yeah,
Which, by
there's
the
a lot of.
way, is one of the best civil engineering firms in the state.
The village does have a lot of beautiful natural areas, so if there's a lot of opportunity to really enhance that, make it more functional for the community.
Excuse me, we're gonna be taking questions, the rest of the questions and answering them at the end. So we'll move on to the next.
Okay, if you want to contact me, or obviously you know how to get a hold of the village, please feel free to shoot us an email. If you see grant funding that you want to pursue, or send it our way, and we'll run it to ground and see where we can get.
I don't want to miss this opportunity from the village hearing from Ms. Spain about aqua water. She's the attorney for aqua water. I want to hear, she's talking about everything else, I just want to hear what the water situation.
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that.
is
Next, we're gonna bring up Chief Mitchell, talking about public safety.
We're talking about water now.
We have an agenda. We're gonna stick to it. Chief Mitchell, please come on.
All right, good morning, everyone. Don't know me, my name is Dale Mitchell, and I'm your newly appointed Chief of Police. I've been here just a couple of days, over a month. So thank you for having me here. I hope to live up to the faith that has been put in me. And I'm looking to get to know each and every one of you the right way. The right way. Unfortunately, there's going to be some citizens and or visitors in University Park that I'm going to meet the wrong way, but we're not going to linger on that. Again, my name is Dale Mitchell. I'm the Chief of Police at University Park. Just for those that haven't met me, just say a little about myself so you know who your chief is. All right, in June, it'll be 31 years in law enforcement. I recently retired as a deputy chief from another community just north of here. And I've been involved in every aspect of law enforcement, from patrolman all the way up to now chief. And I just want you to know, I came here on purpose. I wanted to be here. I've been through the community. I have family in the community. My daughter graduated from the high school. My youngest daughter graduated from the high school here in 2020. She has a bunch of friends from the community who've been over my house. They ate me blind. I didn't have a chicken wing in the house when they were done. Well, I mean, that's the cheapest way to feed a whole bunch of kids, right? All right, and so I'm eager to be here. I've tried to hit the ground running, and I just want to tell you a little bit about the state of your police department and my plan going forward and my vision for the police department. First things first, we are hiring. If you haven't seen on our website or seen on the Blue Line and several others, we are hiring. We are hiring for lateral police officers. Those are police officers that are already police officers. And we have a current list that we're going through. We're gonna try to hire from them for brand new young men and women. Now, if you know a police officer from a community that's maybe not happy where they are, they want a fresh start, or they want to do a reset, send them my way. Once this list is exhausted, we'll be given another test. If you want to get that son, daughter, niece, nephew, grandson, granddaughter off your couch or out your basement, send them to me. I will find them gainful employment that will allow them to do things in their life they never thought. I was born and raised in the city of Chicago. I'm from Inglewood. I went to Simeon High School. I'm going to bring that up every 5 minutes. All right. People here have already found out.
I know, South Shore.
I'm going to start that fight no matter where I am. Okay, I'm just saying. All right, I do apologize ahead of time, but I'm not sorry. All right. And so what we have here, we have a unique opportunity here. You know, what the police department is suffering some staffing challenges, but you have a good group of men that work there. Those guys that are there because they want to be there. They've had every opportunity to go other places, but chose to be here because they're part of the community. They've made relationships here. This community has allowed them to feed their families and to grow their families. And so they've made a commitment here. And so my job here is to support them. So I'm going to be asking for help from y'all to help me support them. Some of the help, you know, you may not see as right away what it's meant for. Some help is going to be straightforward. I'm going to be asking for things. I'm going to be asking for your help. You're my eyes and ears. I want you, if you know, what was the saying? See something, say something. Police department has nothing else better to do other than to respond to your concerns. Just to tell you a couple of things that we've done. I've applied for, and I'm in the midst of applying for grants, you know, for equipment, for new personnel, for maintenance and upkeep of the police station. We've redeployed certain pieces of equipment in the police station that have been just sitting for so long. You know, with the help of the public works director, like our speed trailer, it's been out on attic. Letting you all know, if you have areas of concern for speeding, you can call up to the police station. We will put it on a list and we will move it around the town to where you think that there's an area that needs speed enforcement. We've been deploying decoy cars, but also, I'll tell you a little secret. Sometimes those cars aren't decoys. Sometimes there's actually a police officer in that car who's been pulling people over because they thought, oh, there's nobody in the car. It was a shock of their life. I'll tell you that to tell your friends, family, nieces, nephews, and all them other people. Don't just drive past it because that day it may be a police officer in that car and you may get that ticket. But it's not about tickets, it's about changing behavior. We want you to slow down. The data has proven that when you drive at excessive speeds, what happens? Accidents. And accidents can result in loss of life, injury, property damage, and all that costs money, right? I don't know about you, but I don't have that kind of money to be spending that money on that. I gotta buy chicken wings for the kids. We've changed our patrol procedures. We've changed the way we're doing a few things. And I hope you've noticed a slight change, you know, in things that have happened. Or as a matter of fact, things that have not happened. You know, give me some wood to knock on so we can make sure that happens. Your police department is here for you. I just want you to know that my main focus right now, however, is hiring. But also I want to get to know each and every one of you. I believe in communicating with you. I'm going to be bombarding you all with information. I'm going to be asking you guys, what do you think the problems are? And I'm going to be asking you for solutions. All right. That's not to say that I don't have my own ideas and things that I know that work, but I want your feedback. Now, it's going to be on the website. Any solutions you give me, any ideas you give me, and if they work and if it works spectacular, I reserve the rights to claim this my own. I believe that's fair. Right? So we've done some other things. I'm active in several law enforcement executive organizations, the International Association of Chiefs of Police, the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police, the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives, where I'm a member of the National Training and Education Committee, and we're working on a lot of training for law enforcement. If you don't know what NOBLE is, go to the website, National NOBLE, and it'll tell you who that organization is. I'm on the Illinois Association of Chief of Police. I'm a vice chair of legislation. I am involved in helping craft the legislation, particularly for law enforcement, and so we can make sure that we have procedural justice, and we can make sure that we're policing fair and equitably. But also, I get a sneak peek into the rooms where the deals are made with the legislatures about resources that can come to communities. And so right now I'm excited. I'm the chief of police. You guys made me the chief of police, you know, so you know what I'm trying to do. Hey, Mr. Senator, hey, Congressman, how about a little something towards you people? Okay. We've partnered with Public Works to address maintenance issues with the police department. That is a very nice building. That's one of the best police stations I've seen in a very long time. I've been a police officer a long time. Believe it or not, most communities in the south suburbs do not have a police station that nice. And we want to make sure. I spoke with members of the community about helping us beautify the front of it. You know, so if you have a green thumb, hey, come help us plant some stuff in front of the police station. I just want you to know, if I touch it, I'm going to kill it. I'm terrible when it comes to that. All right. It's going to be a lot of public engagement through the police department. National Night Out, that's huge for us. The torch run, that's huge for us. I don't know if you know it, I'm the epitome of athletic ability.
You look good, Chief.
Thank you. Thank you. But I'm gonna need help. I'm gonna need runners. If you know how to run, skate, bike, skateboard, or even walk, we're gonna want you out there. Okay, y'all will help us out. South Shore. We're gonna need you out there. Top on top. You know, I'm using some of my relationships with neighboring towns to see if we can be part of Cop on Top in somebody's Dunkin' Donuts in relationship. I've used my relationships as the chairman of the legislative committee for the South Suburban Association of Chiefs of Police, which has already revealed dividends, where they've assisted us on a couple of different situations. They've extended their communication network out to us, which is huge. You know, for a long time, University Park and law enforcement speak was on an island away from everybody else. And I'm trying to reestablish that relationship with just the South suburbs. Governor State University, the Will County Forest Reserve Police, the Will County Sheriffs, Monee, Crete, Richmond Park, Park Forest have all committed to assisting us if we need. Let's just make sure we don't need. But they've all committed to send us resources. You know, I've had a steady stream of chiefs through here. I'll be meeting with the state's attorney, Glasgow, next week to talk about resources that he can bring here. The police department, we're updating our fleet. We're scheduled for delivery of some new squad cars because, as you know, some of our squad cars are a little threadbare. Those squad cars get ran 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, hundreds of thousands of miles on them, so we get new squad. We're going to be asking the community to help us decorate the police department. Our walls are barren. You know, we're going to be asking with Ms. Childress for help from the grammar schools. So if you got kids and grandkids, I'm partial to macaroni art. I want to display it in the police station. And you all may think, well, you know, that's feel-good stuff, but that's important.
Yeah, creates a culture.
It creates a culture, but also we know how to arrest people. Law enforcement knows how to arrest people. We know how to enforce the law. But what we got to get better in is interacting with the community. We're part of the community. We're going to show you guys so much love, you're going to get tired. Be sitting in your living room, you know, asking for a second help. Yeah. Those are some of the things. Right. So some other things that we've done. We've been given a donation from Project Child Safe of gun locks. They're free. I got a quantity of them in the back. If you have firearms, please come grab come grab a gun lock, and we also have them at the police station. The other big thing is for those people with Kias and Hyundais. Through the generous donation of Hyundai and Kia, we have wheel locks. I have a quantity in the back. It's for people with Kias and Hyundais, unfortunately. But we have a quantity of wheel locks. Please come see us. If you or your family member that lives in University Park, the only thing we ask is the vehicle's registered in University Park and you have your village sticker. That's the only thing we ask for. The The reason being is, you know, I'm sure you guys don't want your tax dollars and your resources going to people that are leaving you to foot the bill for other things. So please come see us. We have them at the police station. I have a quantity in the back. When I'm done talking, please come to the back to see me. And we'll go ahead and get you those.
You said Hyundai only is Kia?
Hyundai or Kia?
Kia.
Hyundai or Kia, okay? And so we're happy to give them to you. They're very nice, like I said, donated by Hyundai or Kia. And they're watching who we give them to, so I can't be giving them to other people, otherwise they make me have to pay. So I don't want to do that. At which point we'll send you guys a bill. Y'all don't want that. Real quick, let me make sure that I don't miss anything. But the police department, we are increasing enforcement of parking and abandoned junk vehicles on vehicle streets and driveways. So if you got a car up on the jack, please get it out.
Please, oh,
Yes.
streets.
Because we will be enforcing that. It's about not just the beautification of the village, but also if a village looks raggedy, people tend to treat it raggedy. Yeah. So we will be addressing those things, okay? So I'm just warning y'all ahead of time. It's not meant to be punitive. It's not about revenue. It's about changing behavior. That's all we're asking. But again.
No, I closed it so it did fall.
Okay, thank you, trustee. I appreciate if I'm looking through this just to make sure. The police department, we're, like I said, we're preparing several grants. We're hiring commitments. We're sharing equipment. We will be redeploying to area task forces, the SWAT team, the SMART team, major crimes. We've ordered and taken possession of body-worn cameras. We're currently in the process of configuring them and training for them. I came from a department that had them, and let me just tell you, it's not easy to use those things. It takes a little time. It's not intuitive. You got to remember to turn the thing on. You got to remember to turn the thing off. You know, there's some times where you may get some embarrassing stuff. You know, you might have that super big goal and you forgot to turn it off and you have to go to the so you don't nobody want to see it. Okay. We've ordered and taken possession of new tasers. All right, those tasers, though they hurt, and I've taken a full ride myself, 4 or 5 seconds, though they hurt, they do not cause any injury. And that's just a safer way for the police officer, if they have to take somebody into custody, take them into custody, rather than the old days. We all know those old days when we don't want to do that anymore. We don't want to be there. Your police department is going to work with you. Your police department is going to be there for you. If you have any questions or concerns, please give us a call. My email, the best way to contact me, and I'll call you back, is through my email. It's on the website, dmitchell@university-park-il.com. If you have concerns, complaints, or compliments, we take those too. If you have an officer that has done something that you really like or admire, I really want to hear it. You know, police officers nowadays, my guys, you know, it's a tough time for them out there, right? It seems like all you see is the bad things they do. We want to accentuate the good things they do. If you see something that they've done well, let me know so I can let them know, so they can know that you appreciate the hard work. You know, and I'm going to leave it at this. Those guys come to work every day unerringly, and they do it for you. And so we want to show them that you care about them, because they care about you. They could probably be doing a lot of different things, but chose to be here in University Park. And so if you have questions for me, write them on the cards and I will answer them at the end of it. That way I got time to give you the best answer I can, rather than something off the fly where I may make a mistake. All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we're going to talk about water, lead pipe replacement. Trustee Lewis, Attorney Fain, Mr. Bass. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Trustee Lewis. Thank you for coming out. We appreciate you all. So we're going to talk about the water today. I want to say thank you to Trustee Brooks and Ms. E for the efforts at the beginning of the water crisis. Let me give the credit when the credit is due when you passed at the time. So at this time, I want to say there have been several activities that's been going on. So we want to come together cohesively to make sure the effort for the water is all in one. I want to thank Reverend Williams and Reverend Only for putting together the town hall for the movement for no lead in the water. Next, I want to thank Manager Scott and the mayor for us coming together to put together the water payment program. So far, we've helped 234 families with assistance for the water program. I want to also thank Attorney Fain for staying on top of the proceedings that's been going on that everyone has attended through the Zoom meeting. Right now, all these efforts that we have going on are the first for a movement to go further. But there's one piece of the puzzle that's missing, and that's the complaint to the ICC. I have forms here today, all these efforts that we have to put them together to move forward. So I have forms for us to fill out because the ICC is saying that University Park has no complaints and that our water is fine. And I beg to differ, that is not the case. We all know there's an issue with the water, we know. So the mayor and I, and along with talking with the village and Attorney Fain, we've been going down to Springfield to lobby with Mr. Bass to help us lobby for money for the lead pipe replacement. So at this time, I'm going to bring up Nina Fain. Oh, Frank Bass, I'm sorry.
Uh-oh. Get it, Frank.
Mr. Bass.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Frank Bass, and I lobby down in Springfield on behalf of University Park. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I invited the mayor and trustees to come down to Springfield to meet with several department agencies. And some of the issues deal with the fact that you all don't own your own water supply system. So the grants that's out there right now, University Park can't apply for because they don't qualify. So one of the things that has to change is the exemption for municipalities like University Park. So I'm meeting with them next week because we're in session next week. Another issue that needs to be addressed is how do you make sure clean water come in and people get tested while we're going through this phase. So public health has been informed, and so has IEPA. The mayor met with DCO to talk about how they can do some more economic development down here. And as I was watching about the community center, the mayor met with the agency director of the Department of Natural Resources. I'm gonna plug them back together to see if we can find funding for that as well. This doesn't happen overnight. Springfield's a slow process. Sometimes it may take a year or two. But as far as testing and some of the other immediate issues, we can try to get that done as soon as possible.
So here our lobbyists already.
Actually, I've been working for you all for free. So what's your next question?
No, we're not taking questions now.
And you the lobbyists already.
Thank you, Mr. Bass. And now we will bring up, we'll take questions afterwards. We'll bring up Attorney Fain.
I need my wingman known as Miss Neva because we're gonna put up a PowerPoint. Okay, so I'm very informal. I apologize if I'm a little out of it. I flew back from California last night so that you would get to see me and talk.
Put the microphone in your mouth, please, by your mouth. Thank you.
How's that?
That's better. Thank you.
Yes, baby. Okay, so I was saying, first of all, I was looking for Miss Neva. Second of all, I apologize for a little shaky here. I flew back from California so that I could talk with you and also ask for your help on something. So what I would like to do is go through our PowerPoint. We have put together 10 frequently asked questions and answers, which Trustee Lewis is going to hand out about the aqua situation. It will also be up on the website for people to see. And I want to encourage you as trustees
Lewis is handing out the ICC complaint forms. There is a link on the website. But one of the issues that we are encountering within the structure of the agent's litigation is that they are saying there's no set of complaints coming in for ICC in terms of rate issues. And so we want to deal with that because rate increases, shut-offs, payment plans, we need support on all.
Now, Nina, we're gonna switch your mic. We're gonna switch your mic.
Okay, I apologize for having my back. All right, first of all, let me give you a little background on me so you will understand where I am coming from. Many years ago, my family would come to University Park because I had aspirations of playing tennis. And we lived in the city, but we knew people that lived here. And I was impressed with the beauty of the community and the warmth of the community. We were too poor to live here, but University Park has always had a special place in my heart. I am by background an economic development, commercial real estate, and corporate attorney. I have worked in government as well as private sector, and that's why I jumped in perhaps inappropriately to make the comments that I did when the other speakers were answering questions. So I apologize to you if I offended anyone by answering those questions. And I'd like to ask Ms. Neva to go to the next to the last slide because I am going to make a statement. I'm not a minister. I'm not good at Bible study, but this is what I believe about where we are in terms of University Park. The Bible tells us in 1 Samuel 17, it tells us about the story of David and Goliath, and it teaches us that we can triumph over the worst of circumstances with good. And that's why I'm here today to be accountable to you, to the trustees, to the village manager and the mayor, but also to ask for your help, please. I want to start at the beginning and the end. Thank you. Sorry. All right, so we are here today to talk about mastering challenges and developing strategies for the water solutions in University Park. I'm going to ask Ms. Neva to help me move the slides forward. Okay, let's go back in the day. Originally, and this is something that many communities, and I'm going to say environmental justice communities were not required, but made a decision about doing years ago, and that was selling their water system rights. Now, at the time, it probably sounded like a very good idea because the community was able to sell for money. But under Illinois law, and this is probably something people didn't think about at that time, and certainly the law evolved, that under Illinois law, a water company is regulated like any public utility, like water, gas, or electric. And you're probably watching play out on the TV a case where Speaker Mannion has been indicted about the allegations of helping one of the public utilities along. What many people did not know or understand in terms of the longevity of the impact was that water was also deemed as a public utility. My old grandmother used to say, marry in haste, repent in leisure. And under indicted Mike years, your water system became part of a state-sponsored monopoly or quasi-monopoly. What does that mean? It means that a monopoly as an entity can pretty much do what they want when they want to do it, and that the law around that entity allows them to do so. So let's go back. I'm sorry, I apologize. So under Illinois law, what that means is whomever owns your system gets to set the rates for payment, because they go in and ask for permits at the ICC. And even though the ICC, and I know that our village manager has been working, trying to, ma'am, if you will let me go through this, and I'd be very happy to answer your questions.
I think I just want to say, we know all of that. What we like to know is about.
No, I didn't know this part.
Everybody knows on it.
Well, and you know what? I bet there are other people in here.
No, let's just.
No, let me respond, please. I don't have any problem answering questions and comments. I always try, as I'm making a presentation, to speak as though people in the room know nothing. That is not about them not knowing, but because you may have a very extensive knowledge, there may be other people that don't. And I believe that it's unfair to speak to people in a way that they would perceive as condescending because they do not know. Now, perhaps I'm incorrect in that, but I'm going to ask, please, if you will allow me to make the presentation with that in mind. And then because you have a more sophisticated knowledge of the situation, we can talk about it afterwards, and I can give you that granular. But that is my approach today, and I hope you will allow me to do it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, we did.
All right, so in Illinois law, whoever owns the system gets to set the rates for payment and meet a minimum standard of water quality. So let's understand, the Illinois EPA is the entity that handles water quality, water standards, water regulation. And it's the Illinois Commerce Commission that handles rate increases as they are requested or other permits. And that the Office of the Illinois Attorney General, as the attorney for the state, represents both of those state agencies in what is done. So what went wrong? You have a private utility that now controls your water quality and your water system. The allegations that have been made, because we don't have a judgment, so we must always be cautious to say allegation. We cannot say accusation. The allegation is that the water filtration chemical process error caused lead to leach into the pipes. The water company identified homes in the affected area, and they defined the lead advisory area. Okay. The state attorney general sued to have the water company come up to the Illinois EPA quality standards. Those regulations were applied, and the company then added zinc to the water chemical filtration cleaning process to stabilize the leaching of the lead from the pipes into the water. They indicate that they have solved the problem. Now, Trustee Lewis is here, and the mayor is here today. I have sent as of 3/13 the Aqua Progress Report, which they have to report to the Attorney General, and they are saying that they have met for 3 consecutive 6-month periods the water quality standard mandated by the Illinois EPA. Under Illinois law, there is a standard of what is allowable in terms of lead in water. And there must be, once there is an alleged violation, a consistent 6-month consecutive standard showing that they have met that. All right, the case that is in court is the people of Illinois, not University Park, but the people of Illinois versus Aqua, Illinois. So the Attorney General, Kwame Raoul, has stepped up to sue on behalf of every resident in Illinois. And that is, therein lies the rub, because they're saying we've met it, leave us alone. And the state is saying, not so fast. Okay, go ahead, please. So what is happening in the case now? And again, the last judgment, which was a joint order, meaning both the plaintiff, the state, and the defendant, the water quality, the water service provider agreed to extend the discovery. They are trying to see who did what, when, where, and how. There are several dates involved, but the last date is in October. There is a hearing in May. That date will be up on the website. You may either go to Joliet or you may watch it on Zoom. I believe, if I am correct, the mayor's had many people that have come on Zoom so they can see what is going on. In some instances, I think people are, watching a status hearing is like watching paint dry. But it is an open process, and Judge Anderson, who is a well-known and respected jurist, is handling the case. He is running, as I understand it, for the appellate court in Will County. And so that's an issue, if you will, because I've dealt with cases where if you have 3 or 4 judges and each one has different personality and priorities, so everybody's trying to see how far they can get, because as good as he is, it's probably likely he will move to the appellate court and another judge will come in. But that's speculative. I don't know. I have no facts, but I'm sharing my humble opinion with you on that. Okay, so what about the rate increases? The rate increases are through the roof, water, sewer, and the ICC controls those decisions. From your vantage point of your checkbook or your money order, you probably can't tell, but the Attorney General has gone in at least 4 times in the last few months to stop Aqua from asking for a rate increase. They also didn't want to provide water. They neglected to tell the ICC folks that there was a case pending and that the judge said water will be provided whether they meet that consecutive time frame until the case ends or is settled. That is why you are still getting water. And that is what the judge asked for. All right. Now, today, I think we have one here. Okay, Trustee Lewis has passed out the informal complaints, and I just want to step back. Where did he go? Shame on him. I want to step back and thank Ms. Lee, Mr. Brooks, and Trustee Brooks, because when I began my involvement with the community, those were the individuals that had been holding the AG's feet to the fire about what was going on. They were giving weekly reports complaints they have received from constituents. And the Attorney General was supposed to follow up on that. As a result, the Attorney General has established an email exclusively for residents of University Park to send in their complaints and any other attachments. Now, I will say to you, if you're going to fill out, this is for the ICC, this is not about water quality or water distribution or whatever. Remember that this is a public entity, public forum, so when you send stuff in, redact, you don't want your PII up in the state attorney general's office and the agency's office. So don't forget to do that, but please fill out these forms because we have all taken big hits with the attorney general going, well, we don't have any complaints, anybody sending anything. Okay, now we feel that's inaccurate. Was that, I'm trying to be political. We feel that's incorrect, but our newest strategy is to get these, to put them together and to send them in a lump with the village managers, professional association, with the ICC's executive director. We know that information will get to the ICC commissioners and the attorneys and to the staff. Because when I worked for the state, if we got in a onesie, twosie complaint, I thought, oh, that's a concern. But when they came in and they had to bring them in like it was Santa Claus's letters, I was like, we gotta do something now. Okay, so that's what we are asking for. And then, Trustee Lewis has for you today, because we are totally transparent. These are the Aqua reports. You probably already get them because Aqua has you all literally on speed dial. They're contacting you all the time because you are their customers. They won't give us a list because that's proprietary, but they also put out these reports. So what we've done is the most recent report we are sharing with you today so you can see their position. It won't be any kind of mystery as to what they are doing or saying. Okay? Now, social justice task force. Right now, the mayor, board of trustees are working with, and I don't know if I'm, blind as a man, if Reverend Only is here, or if Reverend Williams is here, and I have been on calls. Okay. Hi, Reverend. I have been on calls with the clergy of the community, and this started quite a while ago with Reverend Jackson and clergy from the community, putting pressure forward on Aqua to resolve the issues, to deal with the damages, etc. So right now, they are informal task forces that are working to see what can be done. Now, Reverend Only and Reverend Williams, I believe, I won't put words in their mouth, would say that they are active in the no lead movement, which is huge in the United States. The challenge that you have there is, it's aspirational. Nobody wants lead. I was a classroom teacher before I was a lawyer, and I saw in the special education classes that I had the impact of lead. But from a practical standpoint, and God help me, I am a pragmatist, and Mr. Bass is, I think, going to be including this as part of his review for consideration in terms of legislation. Structures that were built in the late 20th century prior to that all have lead pipes. So you will see across the United States, that's why there's so much federal money now, is that we have lead pipes. In Chicago, at the time, the unions did not want PVC, but they have now accepted PVC into the construction, and it is happening in new construction because of the lead. And there is an amount that under law is acceptable. One of the things that we breached was the federal law. And 2011 was when, and I think there's some changes that may be going through now. They changed the level of lead that potentially was allowed in pipes based on research. And Reverend only has a lot of that research on their website. So this is where we are now, is to see if perhaps if the Illinois law is skewed from the federal law, it can be made to comport, which will reduce, not eliminate, but reduce lead in pipes. And this is why your work with the village, whether it's Sierra Club or the state reps or whatever, becomes imperative, because only you have the power to make these legislative changes by sending letters, calling, etc. Maybe you supposed to do, but you never let them do. All right, now, right now, the mayor has a positive relationship with the environmental justice czar that was appointed by Governor Pritzker, talking with him about what he is doing, and all of that is also important. You have heard from the village manager and Taro and the police chief applications in for state and federal grants. I don't know how many of you have had an opportunity to follow, not Crestwood or Flint, but most recently, Jackson, Mississippi. Some of you may have relatives there. I have relatives in Mississippi. And one of the things that came out was that their system is so old, and it's no older than many other systems that we know of. It was having these problems in terms of water, collapse, lead, many things. But that they did not apply in 22 for the grant money that was in. They are applying in 23. And so this is why the village is going to be doing that. Okay, and Mr. Bass just indicated his legislative agenda for change. And I will say to you, having been in government and worked with the legislature, that in complementing his strategy, that at the end of the day, until environmental justice communities are carved out of the ICC monopoly, we will continue to have rate increases in your future. Unless and until you have dollars that are granted, and I think that's part of what he is doing now, given to the community, it's going to be difficult to afford to change out lead pipes. So, working every step of the way in terms of the legislature will be important. Okay. The next. Okay, so as I said, trustees coordinating the AG interface. Trustee Brooks and the C worked effectively last winter to communicate issues. The mayor has rotated relationships with the AG, giving Trustee Brooks a break and putting Trustee Lewis on the hot seat. He's in the rotation now, and I imagine that will continue in terms of rotations. Now, you can join the no lead movement, and I would encourage you to learn from individuals like Reverend Only and like Reverend Williams about that. In the last town hall, they had positions there to talk about the effects. And so this is something that can be done in terms of action steps in addition to filling out the forms. And I'm trying to give specific things that people can do so that when they leave here, they won't be, what was that woman saying? Okay, now, so, you know, we've got to come to terms with, America has old pipes. And right now it's the church leaders as well as the mayor and the legislative liaison, village manager, and trustees that are leading the way to help us. Yes. Okay, what else can be done? Well, you can change ownership if you have the money. So one of the things that the trustees will be thinking about is, can we buy this back? Is it possible? It's expensive, but you know, that's something I'm sure that's on the table. Can we find another source? Chicago Heights is Lake Michigan Water. They also control the master contract for Lake Michigan Water. I think at the time that they had been looked at years ago, it was deemed expensive, but you know, maybe time to bring that back. State legislations need to be changed to limit the current water system operator. And then perhaps those folks from the water system will agree to a community benefits agreement to give some things based on some of the challenges the community has dealt with. If the AG settles, they're going to be looking for stuff for the state. We have some things we're asking to help on with us. And I think that's part of what Antero has been doing, and Randall is quite extraordinary. And I've had an opportunity to work with Randall. And so this is really important. And if you have any additional ideas, or if there are letters of support that you can write as individuals for these grants, all of that is useful when people are getting a ton of paper. What distinguishes community A from community B, and why should we help them? Remember, you won the hometown award, so you're more than halfway there. Complain and complain again. Complaining to me or about me is not going to get any kind of solution. Right? These people, the AG, the ICC, etc., and use the website for what it has to offer. The pressure has to be consistent, and it must not wane. Understand that fortune companies know very well if they can get everybody fighting and among each other, no problem. They can do what they want to do. And Aqua has a complaint law, by the way. We talked about the Old Testament. I come back to God because without him, I wouldn't be here. But I want to put this forward to each of you. One of the things that Reverend Jackson did was he had to push by stock in the companies so he could monitor what was going on. And it also meant that he could be in the room. And when we had those meetings by Zoom and in person at his office, he talked about going to those shareholder meetings and raising heck. See, and so I'm going to, if I may, task each of you to consider that. Clearly, I can't tell you what to do. But I can say that if you're standing at the Aqua meeting, raising your hand and saying, oh, you're making hundreds of millions of dollars, possibly billions of dollars, what about us?
What are you doing? How did that happen? You claim you are in compliance, but how does that help us for any damage that is done? Then the other board members and shareholders go, well, who are those people? And that's how I would suggest, as an old corporate leader, that you also get their attention in addition to everything that this group is doing. So I thank you for your time. And if you have these questions, I appreciate you. I will ask if I can come on to the board meetings, because I was coming on and we had kind of a mix up and that did not continue. But know that I am here and I am sincere. I am not perfect and I don't have all the answers. But I will not abandon you, and I ask for your help and support. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Payne. Thank you. Attorney Payne, you do have one question from the back.
Please read it out if we have on my
The
laptop.
question says, are you familiar with the Homer Glenn's water 15-year problem? And what will we be doing different? What will we be doing different? I think that's what she meant to say.
Okay. As I stand here today, no, I'm not. I know about a problem that was in Crestwood. I would say this, and I'm sure that one of the issues that lobbyist Bass is dealing with is that the entire South suburban area is experiencing extreme water challenges. This is not new. As a former co-general counsel of the Southland Chamber of Commerce, that was many years ago, this was happening then. That's why we have to stand together. I think that's why he's put a consortium together, hoping that there's strength in numbers. But I will brief myself on the Homer Glen issue, and then perhaps I can share with Trustee Lewis what I think might be the difference. And you can contact her and get that answer, and I apologize, as I said, I don't know everything. But I will find that out and we can talk about it.
You know, Homer Glen is Illinois American Water, that's the competitor. Oh, that's a difference.
Well, you know, it's all price, I can't even do it.
Okay.
I think that the real challenge is that you have companies that know how expensive these things are, and they know the limitations of communities. This is going on around the state. This is not just here.
Right.
And so at the end of the day, I think there's even a Southern Illinois company that pulled out and has its own issue, and it's having similar things. This is a national problem. But what we have to do is take baby steps, put one foot in front of the other, love each other, because this is what I've seen in almost 30 years of practice. You have groups that hate each other, but they will come together to solve a problem. And because there's so many things going on right now, with diversity, LGBTQ, lots of things that are rising up to take precedent over something that people consider, you know, it's a standard problem. We have to make certain to keep the faith, but also keep ourselves in the communities. So, yes, ma'am.
Question. How does the residents of University Park benefit from filling out this form with alternative?
Okay. One of the things that is a specific benefit is there is, and trust me, I'm not the AG, I'm not the ICC, but their process is when you send in an informal complaint, they are supposed to assign a staff member to follow up and to follow through and be your liaison and your champion. I don't know whether that happens. I've got my fingers crossed. So that would be a specific benefit.
It does not eliminate your right. There is a statute of limitations, so there's a time limit to file a formal complaint, which is like a hearing. But that is what the specific benefit is supposed to be coming from. Yes, ma'am. Can you stand up? Yes. Thank you. And I'm sorry, the sun is so bright. I like to be able to look at my questions. Yes.
My name is Mildred Morgan.
Yes, I met you when I came in September about 2 years ago. You were outside. And it was a town hall meeting, it was my very first one, so you don't remember me, but I remember you.
Wow.
Okay, well, good to see you, and thank you for coming, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Oh, Lord, they say kindness will kill you. With all of what you're doing now, the preparation, and you're talking about Ravi Kwao, which I agree with you, you know, and I've told many people in the village that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people addressing things just won't get it. But if you bring a whole slew of folks, then that's when they hear you.
Yes.
Okay.
So I want you to share the shareholders group and go to the next shareholder meeting and give them a whole Victoria.
They don't want to see you.
No, but I'm saying, no, we are absolutely correct. And that we have to have a large group, and that's why I said, push has already kind of started with the churches. We just need to kind of coordinate and pull that together. And if you're working with the mayor and the village manager and the board of trustees, it becomes important because remember, these folks are publicly traded. And right now, and I'm going to speak to the Silicon Valley Bank issue, once the public gets a hold of it, there's an entirely different level of scrutiny. So think about that and how you and colleagues that you have and know can participate in that, whether that's virtual or otherwise. But we must be robust with these folks. And they have indicated, because they've been out to meetings, that they want to help. So, all right, I always say, let people help, but let's give them some specific things to do rather than something global. And then we can measure whether they are helping or kind of.
What I like to say is,
Yes, ma'am.
How can you attend the village hall meeting? Because we don't see you.
Okay.
The other thing I see is when I get bills payable, when I get bank statements and credit, you know, I see where you get paid handsomely.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not running the charity now.
Oh, yeah, I know. Okay, 18,000. But how do we get information from you? Because what you're passing out now and what you're saying now, we could have been had that.
Well, it has been delivered to the village.
But you know,
I don't have the right, you have to understand, I don't have the right to deal with you directly. I work with the team of the trustee and the mayor and
there's only two that will bring us information.
Well, that's beyond my pay grade.
Can I finish so that you can get the full gist of what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
We don't hear nothing from you, don't see you. You just stated when the last time I saw you. You know, so that's proof in the pudding right there. There's 4 trustees. Somebody in the house ain't gonna let them conversate with us. There's 2 trustees that will conversate with us, but with so many other things that's happening, water, that's the least of their worries. There's other things. So I'm saying all of that to say this. We need you, because guess who paid it? We do. Not them. We do. But when we don't hear from you, and then at one of the town hall meetings. We get this kind of information, should have been there, done that. Pastor Williams, we took and went by the bolos down to I. I'm very active in my community. I see, do, and hear everything. We don't get any of the information or anything. Just this past Tuesday, we was begging for a report from Attorney Fanning, and we don't hear anything. So somebody's, you play football? You're familiar with it? Somebody intercepted the information that you're bringing, sending to us. We don't get it. And that's how come you may hear anger in my voice. There's a lot of things that we don't get. A lot of things. So this is how come I'm asking you, how can we get you to, because even if you come and it's only 2-3 years that you're there, guess what? We have Miss Jenkins, people, you got camera. And it comes on YouTube. And others that are at home because of COVID fears or sickness or just don't feel like it now. We can see what you say. But if we don't see you, certain people ain't gonna make sure, they're gonna make sure we don't hear you. And if I don't have to fight and dig and find out how much you're getting paid, we ain't gonna know. So that's the time I have to write it out and put it on next door, how much you get paid for information we don't receive. Come to a meeting and give us a report.
Invited,
and you know what?
I have to be invited to the board meetings. I can't
ask us, because they don't have nothing to do with it.
Well, they set the agenda. Yes, ma'am, they do. Yes, ma'am.
Well, now Joe, Rudez have heard you. But, you know, just wait about a month. He ain't gonna be here.
Yes, ma'am.
But another person will be here. Another mayor will be here.
I
And they'll
appreciate your comments, and I welcome an opportunity to come. You need to know that I have in the past, since you and I saw each other, been on the meetings, but not in a while. So if you are inviting me, if you talk with the trustees and they agree, I'm happy to come, okay? But I want you to understand, I can't come for free. I have to work and make a living. And so
I'll pay you.
I appreciate that, and I thank you for it. But I just want you to know that as much as I would like to give all that I have in terms of my time and talents to you, that I have to work for a living.
You got one more question.
Thank you for your presentation today.
Yes, ma'am.
Very helpful.
Thank you,
And I didn't know you existed, but this is one of the things that's the problem with the community here. We have a community, we have representatives here that are supposed to represent our ideas, our desires, and they should be open. But we don't have that openness. We have a newsletter that come out every once in a while. We don't know about you. There's so much missing. It's always pumping up the board. We don't have to have you pumped up all the time. We need you pumped up with what you're doing for us, how you're supporting us, the things you're doing in the community. We don't like this cloak and dagger kind of administration. We don't like it.
Right.
It's not doing anything for University Park.
Making me
We
mad.
want you to be loving University Park.
Right.
I love this community, and I'm working for it. And I need people that represent me to love this community the way I love it. And I've been loving it for 41 years.
35
And it has come trying to offer us for what? Dr. James, you're not about that. We're so little. We could be out Tulsa, the minute Tulsa, Oklahoma, around here. Like coming together for the water. Why aren't we knowing this information? We don't need you to vote in blocks to be with somebody. Vote to represent our ideas. Some of you've been on the board and in position so long. Please step down. and let the younger generation come in, train them. Because we're gonna die. We don't need to be left out here, not being represented.
Right, ma'am, I'm
Okay.
going to.
Okay, thank you.
Stop
I'm
this
Sarah. Okay.
Because I feel very uncomfortable about not the fact or the content of your presentation, because the First Amendment right belongs to you.
Yes.
As well as everyone else here.
Yes.
But I'm not comfortable being the person.
Right,
Has been the gateway.
Right, I understand, I apologize for that.
So thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
We got a question here. Question. Sir, we thank you too. Right here. So,
One second. We'll take one more question and then we'll.
No.
We're gonna take the rest of the questions at the end.
No, we got questions right now. Forget all of that. We got questions now. It's not up to Joe Rudick.
Afternoon.
And we don't want to hear from Missy. We want
Whether
to
you
hear
want
the
to hear it
question.
or not, I am representing you 100%.
I think you have represented us enough.
Yeah, and you too, you too. I'm not the village manager anymore.
I ain't got to go down.
Discussion now. I'm gonna make my report, even though there are 58.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, please. Ladies and
We
gentlemen,
don't want to hear.
ladies and gentlemen, please.
I'm letting you know.
I get you. Ladies and gentlemen, please.
But we don't want to hear
If
from
we
this
can
fellow right
use some
here.
civility.
I want to hear from the
If we,
residents.
Miss Philly, if
I
we can
want
use
to
some
hear
civility,
from the residents here.
if we
I
can
don't want
use
to
some
hear from Ms.
civility,
Lee.
so we
Don't want
can
to
get
hear
through the
nothing she's got
meeting,
to say.
and that way
We
we'll
can
be
sing together,
able
Chief, but we
to
can't talk together.
get you the information you need. All right,
Let's move on.
these people are here to just try to put out information. Whether you like it or you don't like it, there's an opportunity for you to do that, but let them at least finish their presentation. All right, we have it set up for you, them to answer your questions. I got questions right here that I'm gonna be answering. And I'm gonna give you all the answers you need, but please at least let them say what they have to say first. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to give some quick financial points, and then I'm going to give bullet points on developments that we've done and or pending developments. My name is Ernestine Beck-Fulgham. I am now the Director of Economic Development. In terms of village finances, I'm just going to mention, highlight these points. First of all, as was mentioned earlier by the village manager, we came in 16, 17, 18, and 19. Audit reports had to be done, and she did mention that the 2020 audit is currently being completed. Slightly 80% of that, so we're waiting on that. In 2019, the 1998 GO bond, which was $3.5 million, was paid off. In December 2020, the 2002 GO bond, which was $4.5 million, was paid off. The 2003 GO bond of $3.1 million will be paid off in December of this year. The TIF closed, the TIF 3 closed actually in 2020 via resolution of which the Village of University Park received their 8% surplus, and that 8% represented our percentage of taxes that we ordinarily get as a result of financing. Now, the TIF 4 closed in 2022, actually was completed in December via resolution, and we anticipate getting that 8%. Mind you, this is February, so more than likely, considering the collection of tax dollars, we get them around April and May. Let me just say that the $1 million that was negotiated under the TIP 7 agreement was initially to be paid from general fund. Since then, there has been a board-approved economic development revised agreement that will allow those dollars to be paid out of TIP 7 residuals, which means those dollars will no longer be coming from general fund. And those dollars, of course, will be generated as a matter of dollars received for taxes, our percentage of it. Now, economic development. What I've done is categorize these projects in categories to briefly give you a concept of what those projects entail. For example, major roadway improvements, Governor's Highway resurfacing. As you all remember, I'm sure some of you have traveled there. There was major roadway improvement taking place on Governor's Highway from Stonker Road / Thank you. Okay, that road was completed in approximately 2 months. The Illinois Commerce Committee, ICC, University Parkway, CN Railroad Crossing interim improvement, as you noticed, there have been railway improvements there. If you traveled it any other way, probably would have injured your shop, but that interim railroad crossing, the tracks were replaced and the pavement took, paved repair took place. We did that as well. The Cicero Avenue streetscape project was a mute issue. It had expired, it had died. We went into remission. When we came in, we revived it, went back to mayors and managers and got them to allow us to reestablish it, put it back on the board and start developing. So we are dealing with, there's now going to be a new lighting there at Cicero and Stonker Road, University Parkway, wherever you are, all the way up north to Steger Road. There's landscaping, there's going to be a landscaping unit put in the center. We initially had tall trees, but because we've done development on the east and the west side, the state said we had to remove the trees out of the potting. So now they're going to be shrubbery, decorated shrubbery. They're going to be there and other kinds of perennial plants. Also, there will be a decorated lighting put in the public right-of-way on the west side of the street and the east side of the street, and the major development replacement of the lighting that sits on the north side of that street. Now, going further under other roadway improvement program, if you remember, Farmview Road was totally resurfaced. That's the first major project we got going, and there had not been any resurfacing in that area to that level for over 15 years. It was at that time we had the engineers do the preliminary study on Abbott Lane and Amherst Lane. Initially, we were attempting to go after some money for that, and we were successful in receiving the money. The money went into the coffers. Abbott Lane it was the worst of the two, but as of recent fall of 2022, Abbott and Amherst was actually resurfaced. Under Municipal Public Improvement Program, in that we went from number 5 in the
state as it relates to economic development to number 2 in the state of economic development, and we continue to move it as I go through. We were able to put, get a company to come in to work with us on the development of getting another public service safety facility on the west side, because the west side after I-57 corridor, the entry from I-57 on University Parkway came in, the area has been booming. So they had begun to complain, and there was some other OSHA issues. They said it takes them, the police and fire, a bit too long to come from the east side to the west side. So as a result of that community tour that we took when we first came in, that was one of the issues they were looking for, is the construction of a public facility. And one, the village had to find land that was conducive to it. So what we did, we hired this firm. They were able to get donated to us on the north west corner of Bond Street and Governor's Highway. We got 7.5 acres donated to the village. So that's what we are right now. We have the property and village, it has been actually filed for exempt. So we are looking to put a new public safety building. We have gotten the drawing. We work with our engineers. The wonderful part of the facility will be for the fire department. The other would be for the police department. So we have that in place. So that is still open. Fire station number 2 is currently been totally completed. We're probably about 95% done. That station was not conducive to allowing women to utilize that facility. That was the major thrust of that. So after it's finished, bathroom and other amenities were put in it to compensate for multi-use to make it gender appropriate. The town center improvement, as was discussed earlier, we've utilized the town center, some of the town center funds. That's the funds that come from leasing. It goes back in the town center, but I'm sure you all remember some time ago, there was a company out here that in fact requested excessive reimbursement of dollars, and the village realized that, went in legally, they negotiated, created a fund particularly for the upgrade of this facility. But you have to submit proposals to get funded for this company. And when we submitted to them, was funding to get this facility done, the exterior of the facility done. Even though the roof has to be totally done, there's only been slight repairs. This roof has to be completely done because, as you've probably seen, there's substantial leakage. But anyway, the facade was done. One of the major problems this town was having is that parking lot out there. The village, within its first year of this administration, resurfaced that parking lot. And it ended up being a community space. We were skating. We ended up having summer activities and whatever out there. So it continues, but now it's time for restriping because the wear and tear on it is substantial. We've talked about the Regal Farm. We could get individuals to allocate money, but somebody has to do the grant. And that's where I came in. I provided the information to the trustee, and she, in fact, did whatever, and the actual lobbying took place at the state level, and ultimately, once we submitted the grant, there were some revisions. We had to go back and revise it and whatever, but I want to tell you that was a lengthy process of trying to write that grant. But it was submitted, and we were agreed and funded for $629,000. Also, the Craig Park restoration, we'll talk about that later. That's in the agenda, the Pine Lake restoration. And We can talk about the metro station rehab grants again. We were approved 39 million in rehab, 12 million in engineering agreement, and that was a long process. But we got, in fact, we were able to get that funding, but you have to receive appropriate notice to proceed and have certain things in order before you're actually given the money. You can apply for them, get funded, whatever, but there are certain kinds of things. But we, in fact, were doing that, and they're moving forward, and the funding has been escrowed, but we have not received, and we will not receive all of those dollars. We have to, getting grants, they can give you what they call advances on them if you get them, if you request them, but normally an advance. Okay. Let me move on. University Parkway Side Path project that is pending receipt. Right now, there's a big gap between the end of University Parkway, Stumple Road at Governor's Highway, all the way up to this road. We got ran in, we're waiting pending funding on that. That would allow for the Governor's State students to move further, because right now, if they're on a bike, car, whatever, they even need somewhere to walk and not necessarily in the street. So that's being, we're waiting on that. The 50-50 sidewalk actually was introduced last year, wrote up a 50-50 sidewalk program. The engineers came in, got it together, and people had an opportunity. The sidewalk in front of your household, buckle or whatever, it's becoming a legal issue. Somebody trips and falls on that sidewalk, it's 50% responsibility of the homeowner, 50% responsibility of the village. And we created the 50-50 sidewalk program to allow people to get more of their sidewalks done where otherwise they would not be able. So there's a question of this year possibly having that program in again. We did some planning and development, one village strategic plan, one village capital improvement. We was an extensive process in developing the transit-oriented district program. We got a grant from CMAP, Chicago Metropolitan Agency on Planning, CMAP. We got that grant. It involved community leaders, municipal and/or engineers, and the county rep. What we did, we selected the area that's immediately across the street from Governor's State on Stumple Road, and those two areas there are two owners that sits on the north side, and it's currently farmland. So those two owners now are pending the sale of that. So we're looking at folk that are going to be buying up. When I say folk, I mean developers. In fact, there's a housing developer that is now looking at a location. Trustee Bolden, all these meetings that take place, I do not have a meeting with anybody unless she is involved in those meetings and or staff. So Trustee Bolden is very familiar of the development that's going on here. But I want to also mention that the mayor had mentioned about a couple of weeks ago about a developer that was interested. When he mentioned it, I called the developer. He provided him with information. He now wants to meet back. He's interested in bringing the housing development to match the TOD plan that the board, now that it's been finally resolved, has to do with final approval. Final approval. And it has three types of housing that sits on the north side: senior living, student living, single family, townhome on that northern area. All the provisions of the streets and the appearances and how it's laid out is a part of, but that's one of it. We have an indoor-outdoor entertainment facility that's interested in buying some land from University Park. So we've been looking for and the location we're at now is on Cicero Avenue. That sits on the west side of the street by where the old theater, drive-in theater, if you all remember that, when we always come to that, the drive-in theater, it's over in that area. It has great access. Let me just say there are three current entities that have been brought to board and the two pending. If you watched the meeting, we talked about JDM, General Motors, and Buddy Bear Car Wash that's going to be on University Parkway on the southwest corner of Central and University Parkway, but also in the southwest corner is Quick Trip Travel Center. On the northeast corner that's what we're going to be having the hearing on, is another travel center that will be taking place on the northeast corner, one on the southeast corner. But I'm not going to be able to mention all the things. We have 58 things, and I'm not going to mention all 58 of them, but we have 3 grocery stores that we've been negotiating. And what we're trying to deal with right now is what they call foot traffic. If you know anything about that, you got to provide that information to them, and we're trying to make that acceptable. But there are 3 companies that we're looking at to come out here. And all 3 of them you're familiar with. Looking at Whole Foods. We started discussions with Whole Foods just from phone conversation yesterday because of a minority connection. We're looking at Whole Foods, we're looking at Fresh, and we're looking at Aldi. 3 entities are out here. We got to come up with an excellent location that will allow for this. So we have to try to develop this plan. So it's more than a notion. Just when you do economic development, it's just not a wish list. It depends on how creative, what we submit to these people to make them want to come here. That's the key. Sometimes people believe they can do better at it. So you have pending entity and they call these companies. I don't know what's wrong with this, but there are others. But just let me. So I'll stop at this because time is moving on. But anyway, there are a lot of other things that we're looking at or have completed, restocking and all of this. And I'll, Mayor Board and citizens, everybody, I'll just stop. But we have 4 pages. I've summarized 4 pages of project and economic development that this administration has done, supplied, got, and I won't do them all, but I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, just a brief comment by clerk, and then we're going to close out the meeting. We'll take some questions, and then we're going to close out. We're running the meeting over. So, Madam Clerk, please come up and tell us about the importance of voting as we get ready to close out, and I'll be glad to answer. I see I have 3 questions, but I have another appointment. So, Madam Clerk, please go right ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. Trust me, I will be brief, to the point. I will be finished in less than 2 minutes. Okay. I was asked yesterday if I would speak to the issue of importance. Believe me, I jumped up with joy because coming from small town in Arkansas, but it's bigger than University Park. But growing up, knowing that my grandfather, who was 101 years old, passed away in Mississippi without ever having a right to vote. So I'm here to say it is important to vote. 1, too many people marched, died, and fought for us to have that right to vote. So I say to you, no matter what your political affiliation is, Democratic, Republican, Libertarian, Independent, whatever, you have an obligation, a moral responsibility to vote. If you don't vote, don't complain. When our city, village, county, state, or federal legislators do not find funding for us here in this community to get the things done that we need to do. So I urge each one of you, take somebody to the polls with you. April 4th is a very important day, not only in this community, but in several communities. But here, we will be electing a mayor, a clerk, 3 trustees. Your votes, your voice. I ask you, read the literature that you get. Make your choice. See if the words match their action. But above all, and if you have not registered to vote and you've been here more than 30 days, take proper identification with you to your polling places on April 4th, and you can register and vote the same time. So again, I say, your votes, your voice, let it be heard. Register, vote, and vote, and vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. I see that we're going to start our Q&A sessions. I'm going to take questions that were directed to me right away. And one of the questions is, does Ms. Fain have a strategy to disassemble, to disseminate information on a regular basis? I realized when I took this seat.
On a broad basis.
On a broad basis, okay, I'm sorry. But I guess there has been a problem of communication, and that, you know, I guess we just can't fix everything at once. I really like the system that Opera does, because when they want to get out a message, it goes to every single resident. So we would encourage you guys to send your email address, all these other things, because there's a lot of things that are going on in the community, and it's unfortunate that it just doesn't reach everyone. There's nothing being done intentionally. We definitely want to increase the communications so everybody can get the real factual information, what, who, and what's going on in our community. So that is a work in progress. That is something that we must do, because I'm hearing it at the doors as well. And some of the best things that are happening in the community, it never gets out. We don't listen. For those who ever met me or talk with me, I never meet a stranger, and I'm always willing to talk openly to anybody. I've never denied anyone a meeting or an opportunity to sit down and talk. So we're going to work with this together. We understand that is very, very important, getting the factual information. All right, that was the first question. And does Ms. Fain have a, okay, that was the first one. And Ms. Thompson, the town hall meeting was scheduled some time ago. It's not a political thing, but it's very important as we turn the curve that the residents get the factual information, what's going on right now. Things are stepping up in a really fast pace. So it's not a political thing. It's a factual thing. It's a joining of folks together, because when we work together, we win together. The community has been divided long enough, and the community has also been said that, and this perception is really hard to change, because people say, people believe a lie before they believe the truth. Seek the truth, because it would tell the numbers about the lies. And it's unfortunate that has been a part of our Willie Lynch divide and conquer. We can't win that way. I think we all have the same common goal and interest in this community, because we have to be invested in our homes, our children, and our grandchildren. So moving forward, let us just work together, get the real information. Let's not hear what one person says. Let's get both sides of the coin. And I thank you. The rest of the questions, the staff and other people will answer.
How long ago was the town hall meeting planned?
About a month ago, Mr. Morgan.
Okay, then
So
it's not enough time.
So my question actually was, does having a town hall / state of the village give the appearance of campaigning, which is, I believe, against campaign finance?
It is.
And to use public resources for campaign.
Well, actually, it does not, because what we've done, we've been having these town hall regular meetings as pretty much as regular. We've been doing a quarterly newsletter as much as we possibly can. So it's important for the residents to know what's going on in their community. And it has nothing to do with any politics or anything. If you look over the last couple of years, we've had our town hall meetings annually about March and April about this time moving forward. Yes, and as I served as a trustee from 2005 to 2005 to 17, a lot of things weren't going on. We didn't have consistent quarterly news that we're trying to improve. We didn't have community workshops. So it doesn't happen at one time. So have a little patience and trust in folks, and let's continue to move this community forward. I thank you.
In regards to Aqua's form that there's one of the residents to fill out and send out to the attorney general, can the mayor and the village manager, can you all send something out to all the residents in the community, like a self-addressed, self-stamped already envelope, where it can be sent out to every resident, they can fill it out, they can send it back to the village hall, and that would give that multiple, that would be a group of things that you could send all those letters, all those responses at one time. Because it's not as easy like the communication. All you have to do is send a self-address, maybe not do the newsletter or something like that. Send that to the residents and say, hey, fill out this, here's a self-addressed stamp, mail it right back to the village hall so we can have all of them at one time and send it to them.
That's good positive input, and that's no problem with me whatsoever. And that's what we need. We put a suggestion box in the village hall. We take their suggestions moving forward. Thank you so much.
We're also gonna have, these sheets.
Excuse me, would you dispel the rumor that you no longer live in the village?
Oh, yeah, please.
You know what? It's very unfortunate that elected officials will look a person in the eye and tell them something that is completely not true. I've always lived in this village since 1999 or whatever. I live here every single day of my life, 24/7, 365. I have no other residency anywhere. And it's a shame that someone uses derogatory, negative comments towards slandering somebody and say, I don't live here. Not true. I'm not leaving my daughter, I'm not leaving my house, I'm not leaving my grandkids.
Then where are you and your wife 90% of the time? Where are you and your wife 90% of
Guys,
the
one
time?
more time. These are gonna be, me and Gina Williams just talked, and we're gonna have these at the library, at the village hall, as well as CCC, and we're gonna do is that, try to make sure we do what you suggested, to still work.
Shut up. Let's not Hold on. All right, listen, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. We're gonna be civil. We're not gonna tell anybody to shut up. We're not gonna be disrespectful. Tell her, don't come up and talk about. We're not gonna be disrespectful. We can all speak to each other. We cannot be respectful to each other and show the proper rules of the decorum. I'm gonna ask you to leave. Whoever you are. I'm gonna ask you to leave. All right, these are very important matters. Sometimes emotions get in the way, but we can still act like adults.
Thank you, Chief. With that, you have that set of questions.
So first, before I get into my questions, I'd like to direct everyone to the back, to the back. By there, there's a campaign that a village resident is pushing out. It's called Raining Pennies. You know, we all have pennies lying around. We all have pennies on the floor and the seat cushions of your car. Those pennies add up. So if you have spare change and pennies and that type of stuff, this is meant to help out the children in the village. You know, sometimes come up a bit short, right? You know, like me, trying to feed all those kids. You know, we come up a bit short. So it's worthwhile. Nothing's worse than a failure than a lack of trust. So I just want to direct everybody to the fact. I got 4 questions. The first question I'm going to answer: will you, me, the chief, will the police department be ticketing people who park on the streets during night without reporting to police? We've already started back up there. It's already happening. So again, I'm saying, it's going to be people that aren't happy with that. I need y'all support.
That's because they're not used to that.
I understand.
You relinquish it, now you're bringing it back. They have right.
Yeah, and they're gonna have to get used to it. They're gonna have to get used to it, but that's why I'm gonna need y'all to walk me to my car at night for somebody that gotta take it. Okay, I'm just making sure. Okay. Next question. with spring break and summer around the corner, what is the plan of attack by the current chief of police? That's me. So the current plan of attack is high visibility, engaging with the kids before they can do something. Now, that does not mean that we're gonna be out there playing basketball because, see, you know, my hamstring, you know. But we'll be engaging with the kids. You can walk the beat. Well, we can try. We'll be engaging with the kids before something happens. And that just simply means, hey, I see a couple on the corner, hey, how y'all doing, what you doing? A lot of times that diffuses something before it happens. And what?
Show up over there in the apartment area, just get out over there, get around.
I've been around there. I've been around walking around.
Yeah.
You know, one day I misplanned and went out there, didn't have my raincoat, it rained on me, but you know. And they asked me what are we doing about the 745 gang in Maplewood. So earlier this week, myself, the mayor, Ms. Childress, and Ms. Webb, we met with the owner and the manager of that building, and we talked over various topics about accountability on their part and what the police will do and what the police will hold them accountable for. Right. All right. So we had that meeting earlier on, and then we also 3 weeks ago, we met with the owner of all the other buildings around there with the same thing. Even though the owner of the 745 building and the rest of the buildings are two different entities, they're in the same geographic area, and we spoke with them about what our expectations are. I spoke to them and I shared with them my exact expectations and what they will and will not do. Right. And so we'll see what happens, you know, but we're going to make every effort. Some of the plans are short term, some are long term. Yes, ma'am.
For that one particular situation, did you address any penalties to the property owners in regards to them not complying to the things that you're saying?
Yes. Yes. But the penalties and things that we're expecting them to do, we're going to stay within the law. Right. As you can know, there's certain things that I can and I cannot do. All right. You know, y'all don't want that bill for me doing something I can't do, because we know what comes after that. Yes, sir.
What about noise pollution? We have a lot of loud speakers in the cars going around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 or 5. You can't sleep. What are you doing about noise pollution?
Give us a call. We'll get there. We're writing the tickets. And some of these tickets get very expensive. Sometimes the tickets ain't worth, you know, the amount of the ticket's not worth that little bit of time of having that music up loud. That gets people's attention. Yes, ma'am.
Right over on Farmview, for some reason, there's a lot of speeding. I mean, they're speeding like you wouldn't believe.
Yes.
Right there on Blackhawk.
Yes.
You even see where they burn rubber.
Yes.
Right in the middle of the street.
Yes.
Right there by, I believe, Amherst. And then they turn and come on Farmview.
Yes.
And they speed like you wouldn't believe.
Yes.
And up and down Farmview and also Ofsted.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why we got the speed trailer back up and running, put a little money into it, got it up and running, thanks to Matt Stacy with Public Works. We'll be moving that around. That's why I said earlier, I want you to call us and let us know where the stuff is, right? And it's not that we don't know, it's just, you know, what's important to you, and we'll move it around. Second of all, we have movable, they're not really movable, but we have speed bumps that we can move around place to place. Now, it's not very easy. You know what I mean? Public Works has to put them down. Right now, the ground is too cold to put them in the ground. It would do more damage to the ground, and we have to repair the street all over again. But we'll be putting those out too, from place to place. Okay. Hopefully, you know, you take out you want to drive crazy, and you hit that speed bump, and you take out your oil payment. You know, that will slow people down. All right. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we have a boy, Ted Carter, been there for like over 2-3 months.
Okay.
He's on some jack first, which I wish the neighbor told me. He's parked for 2 months on the wrong side of the street.
After I'm done, can you just get with me and give me the address and if you can tell me what the car looks like, so I know what I'm looking at, and we'll immediately address that. All right, let me grab this other question. On Gordon Terrace, it's currently a 2-way street, leading the right road, a 1-way street. And the request is that an officer can be placed on squad car to sit at 620 Gordon Terrace and catch all the illegal cars going up right road, which is a wrong way street sign, and a 1-way street. Absolutely. can
There'll be a lot of
absolutely,
tickets.
yeah, we can absolutely do that. And remember, the tickets is to change people's behavior, okay? And then, the last question, then I got, some stuff I forgot to tell you guys. I want to make sure I get that out there, okay? State policing as an immediate priority. Yes, it is. Policing is an immediate priority. We know that something happened during COVID and after COVID, and this is not just something in University Park. This is regional. I can tell you the community that I just came from, and I will tell you this, there's hope. University Park is actually in a very good position. Community I just came from, which is upper middle class community, it's a lot busier. A lot more stuff is happening. But I like quiet. I want to keep quiet. A good day for me is at the end of the day, absolutely nothing happens. I like boring. And so we're going to do our best to keep things boring. Okay? And so, yes, it's an absolute high priority. That's why they hired me. Okay?
Excuse me, Chief, those are my questions.
And
I asked them because once upon a time, I was on that police and fire commission. You say that it is quiet and boring here.
I didn't say quiet. I didn't say it is quiet.
You said it's quiet?
No, I didn't say it's quiet and boring. I said compared. I like it quiet and boring.
We're the total opposite of that.
I said I like it quiet and boring.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. If I'm not speaking up, please let me know.
Okay.
I got a loud mouth. I get on your nerves.
You don't have quiet.
Yeah, we want to make it quiet and boring.
We wanted to bring back to what it used to be.
Okay.
And when we had 7 police officers to be let go at one time, and this would have caused that spiral debacle.
Yes.
And we pleaded for some of the people that are in office now, please do not do that. However, now this is the result.
Yeah.
Okay, and when those police officers were let go, the community was told, and it should be on YouTube somewhere, that they were going to bring the state police to help to patrol. I never saw that. You're talking about state police, not saying you're not going to do it, but follow through is good because we need more policing. And the fact that most of the residents know, and it's the bad people that know, we don't have adequate policing in this village. They need to see something different, like the state police.
Well, that's why I said earlier, I'm hiring. I'm advertising on the Blue Line. I'm advertising on the village website. The police department has a new Facebook page. I'm advertising there. I'm advertising word of mouth. I'm handing out flyers. I'm literally walking up to people and walking up to police officers I know. Hey, why don't you come here to University Park? Okay. So trust me, I'm trying to do that. And I have commitments from other agencies, Will County Sheriff. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but you've seen them driving through Townhall. I got commitments from them because I have a relationship with them. I have a relationship with their deputy chief. To have his guys, they can't patrol University Park for us, but they can certainly drive through because we're in Will County, and if something happens, they will address it. Okay, I got commitments from Monique, from that portion of University Park that's over by Monique. Keep an eye out for things for us and let us know. Okay, we have a portion that's in Cook County. The undersheriff and the sheriff, Tom Dark, have assured me personally that they will give me whatever resources I need for that part of town that's over there in Cook County. The state's attorney for the 6th district of Cook County, the supervisor, Tori, I talked to her Tuesday. I went to a meeting talking about felony prosecutions in Cook County. She has assured me she's going to give me whatever resources I need for that portion of town. I've talked with her. So, yes, that's what I'm doing. Okay. So that stuff that I've said, I've spoken to smaller groups, I've spoken to people individually. This is the stuff that I've done already, and we're going to continue to do more. But like I said, I'm hiring. And I also said that once we're working on this list, and when this list eventually is exhausted, which all lists are eventually, we're going to be advertising, we're going to be hiring, and I want your nieces, nephews, sons, daughters. I want them. Send them my way. I give them a good job that they can do something with their life, they can do something good for the community, and they can make some money doing it.
Chief, you know that's a process, so we can't talk about.
I understand that, but it's gotta start somewhere, right? You gotta have a commitment, right? Somebody's gotta say they want to do that first, right? And so I'm saying that as your chief. That's what we're doing. Yes, sir.
I just got a comment.
Yes, sir.
I've been a resident out here in the resident department for like 31 years. And when I first came out here, you had a lot of younger police officers out here. And, those guys didn't take no crap. And it was a few of them that police guys, Big Mike, Childress, they work with the community, they work with the guys in football and basketball and different things like that. And I don't think this is the answer. I think we need to be focused on all of us, some of the men that's out here being more role models for the younger kids and stuff like that. I don't think the answer is just policing on.
So this is the thing, and this is what I want you all to understand. Law enforcement as a whole, and in the South suburb, is experiencing staffing challenges. When you have staffing challenges, then you're almost forced to deal with more serious stuff first, and then come after the quality of life set. With us being able to hire more guys, we have more time to address those matters, and where police officers can have more of a one-on-one relationship or one-on-two relationship with members in the community.
That's what helps.
All right, but I have to, but because it takes such a long process to become a police officer, who all knows what it takes to become a police officer? Who all knows? I mean, realistically, no. Yeah, right. I knew him when he was a lot younger, had more hair and less gray. So, from the time we hire you, from the time we put the advertisement out to the time that you're on the street by yourself, it's upwards of 14 to 18 months. You're no good to me until that 14 to 18 months. No good to me. And so to make sure I have guys now, I would have had to start months ago. To have guys for next year, I got to start now. There's no magic. This is not other. There's no magic pill. This is not other professions where you apply today, you hire tomorrow, and you're working next week. It doesn't work like that. That's just not the way it is. And you don't want it like that because you don't want a bad apple. A bad apple can ruin the whole barrel. A bad police officer can victimize you, and we don't want that. And I'd rather work short and make a bad hire. So it takes time. So to answer your question, how we advertising and why laterals are important. Laterals are important because you may have guys that they want to start a new relationship with a new department.
Not if they got a criminal background or been dismissed or something.
Well, for one, we cannot hire a police officer with a criminal background.
That kind of impropriety.
We cannot hire. Okay, they are with the Safety Act. There are.
I'm looking at things that have happened, recently.
I understand.
We cannot do one police department and went to another.
So I'm going to tell you like this. You all just met me. I can only tell you how I am, but you can also look back. I came from Hazel Crest Police Department. Think about how often they wound up in the news. Never. I ran that police department. Because they don't end the news. You want to know why? Because I didn't allow that mess.
You wouldn't put things under the rug now.
Do I look like I put things under the rug?
Well, we don't want, you know what? I don't want to go by a look.
We don't put things under the rug because we didn't have no rugs. So yeah. You just have to deal with it. Yes. No.
And Dallas is has that one.
Yeah, that's Dallas.
No, Dallas.
You said Dallas?
Yeah, Dallas.
No. It's 6 months in the academy.
Right.
It's 6 months in the academy. From the time so I'm gonna have to wrap this up. That's 6 months in the year. That's still another 6 months in field training. And that's 6 months before they can hire you to get them through our process. But I have to, and if you want to ask me questions one-on-one, you can. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be hanging over here. But at some point, we got to get out of here because they're supposed to.
You got more questions?
Okay, say one thing, and that's these teachers let people know, I prefer to everybody that the parks close, they're open and close at dawn
Yes.
and dusk.
The parks open and close dawn and dusk, and we're enforcing that too. If you're in the parks after dusk, you're gonna get a ticket. It's gonna cost you some money. So I'm looking at a couple of y'all.
Very quickly, as everybody's running out, a question came in: how is Pine Lake stocked when it was full of weeds and the docks are broken down? First of all, there was some partial drudgery done in terms of removing some of the weeds prior to this, in that they were stocking every 2 years. But we're anticipating funding to rebuild the dock and do a thorough drudging, because that Pine Lake is about 50 feet deep. You know, quite big. Okay. The second question is, why was TIF with Amazon so one-sided? It should have been a tax relief for the residents. First of all, you got to understand what TIF is: tax increment financing. TIF is a process that solely gives the developer credits, tax incentive. TIF will go up to 23 years. It's up to the municipality to determine how many years they can take that piece of property off the tax roll. And those dollars that are accumulated as a result of those taxes that would otherwise come for this development, it goes into a state TIF fund that's given to municipalities after the first year. Those TIF funds, rather than an Amazon, Village of University Park did not give Amazon the maximum that they could have, 23 years. They only gave them 15 years. So in 15 years, those dollars will go up, skyrocket, whatever it is at the 15th year. They may start out with paying maybe hypothetically $200,000, $300,000 a year, but after 15 years expire, they may end up having paying $45,000 a year. Those dollars will then subsequently, after it ends, the following year, it goes back to the municipality. So that's it. That's why they couldn't do that. And the final question is going to go on. It says, what is the village doing to beautify community? A lot of high stores. First of all, the Sixth Gate had been existing for eons. It was never occupied because it was never completed. It was an eyesore. It allowed children to do incredible, horrible things in there. And we busted a few and got the police involved. There were other rodent kinds of things happening out there. So it was definitely an eyesore. One of the things we did, we then filed a decree against the owner. And there were, since I've been here, which is almost now 4 years, since I've been here, it went through 4 owners. And you were running, trying to keep up who owned it, not who owned it. And so finally, we were able to submit the request from it wasn't a request, we filed a lien that effective this date, the village will in fact hire a contractor to demolish the structure, of which we will lien and become owners of this property. Very shortly thereafter, the owner came out, got a contractor, went through all the provisions, had it demolished. That eyesore was demolished. Now, they still left some boring walls substandard above the level, but I mean, the floor was removed. So that was an eyesore. Another thing is, I have been, when I was DM, I have been in situations where I followed people that have thrown bags of garbage out their window. And here am I running behind that car, trying to take pictures in the license plate and turning over. The village is been used as a dump site, especially that house right there on University Parkway, that White House that sits on the south side. With the police chief then, Ms. Wilson and I, we went over, we had it all cleaned up. We found individuals in the mail. They went to the house of the community. They come from University Park, went to their house, gave them a $500 fine and liened it, but they didn't want their house liened, so they paid the bill. So there are all kinds of ways. The building department doesn't stop order. They come work on the weekend. It's so much. When people feel that they can begin to do something, they're going to continue to do it until people, the eyesores were not as bad as they used to be. So we're demolishing, we're trying to occupy it. Right now, we have a high rate of occupancy. People, houses were approximately $150,000 to $200,000. Now houses, we've sold a house as much as near $400,000. So the value is increasing. It's because of the eyesore trying to get rid of it. And that's it.
I would give a privilege. It would be nice to have it in the house.
Oh, it's too many.